Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome to the latest edition of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, along with the Mad Hatter, Jason Lloyd, and Dustin Fox. I'm Adam the Bull.
I can wear a hat. I can wear a hat. All right. The reason, Mike and I figured this out.
Yeah.
The reason I look so ridiculous in a hat on our Cavs podcast is because it's complicated. My backdrop is really small, and I'm too cheap to buy a bigger one, so I have to get real tight.
Yeah, you're very real tight. That's it.
So everything looks...
Your features look very big on there.
And yesterday, I had to run my son to school. AJ missed the bus.
Yeah.
So I threw a hat on and then sat down. And
there it is.
And it did look a little bit ridiculous. and the one the week before did look a bit... but I can wear a hat.
Mostly we just want to bust your balls about it.
Yeah, that's
not really that serious.
I mean, I'm so good that there's not many things you can bust me over.
Exactly.
But it's like I sat down. I went to Ava's game, was cheering yesterday. And I went to the game and sat down next to my mom. My mom didn't know who I was with this on.
I mean, that really sums it up.
Yeah, so apparently I look completely different in a hat.
It's like an interesting beanie because it's kind of like a skater beanie or something. Like you kind of look a little.
It's an athletic
grungy.
hat.
Oh,
it's an athletic hat.
Okay.
But I didn't like it with the bill or whatever. So
so you're pulling it off.
Yeah.
It could be a little grunge, a little Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Seven Dorks.
It kind of looks like Jason could have a man bun underneath that.
Yeah, it does.
Luscious locks of hair underneath the athletic beanie.
Speaking of which, did you guys see that long form Dunkin' Donuts commercial with Ben and Casey Affleck?
Yeah.
Where it was like there was a competition of coffee joints, and there was like they're
ripping Starbucks.
Yeah, right. And the guys all had man buns, and they were making fun of them. I found those commercials funny.
Very funny. I missed that one, but everyone that they've done in the past has been hilarious.
It's really good. They had that guy Jeremy Strong, who's on that. Oh my God, the show that everybody loves, Succession.
Oh yeah.
You know who that guy? You know who that guy is?
Which character is he?
He's the Weasley son that you think's going to take over when the series first starts. But anyway, he has this reputation as a method actor, and they kind of made fun of that in this commercial, and he was in it. So I thought it was very funny. But overall, I didn't think many of the commercials were very good.
I didn't either. I thought it was kind of a dud year for the
I like the commercial for it's a big push for girls flag football. Mm-hmm. In fact, my alma mater just sent an email out saying that Brockport's going to have varsity girls flag football.
Nice.
There's 5 teams in upstate New York that are doing, and it's becoming big. It's becoming a varsity sport throughout the country.
Yeah.
And they really pushed in that commercial. Myles Garrett was dressed up like a nerd from school, which I thought was funny. But overall, and then he was in another commercial. He was in 2 commercials. Myles Garrett. He's in that Greek yogurt commercial with
I didn't see that one.
with Juno Temple from Ted Lasso.
No, I didn't see that.
And she's carrying him around the airport. It was cute too. But overall, the commercials were terrible.
Oh, I didn't see it. Real quick.
That was the game. Yes.
I accidentally took shocking. I have high blood pressure. I know it's hard to believe. I took all my meds twice this morning.
Oh,
so
why? I mean, obviously you did it by mistake.
Yeah. So I took them in the morning, and then I was on the phone, and I wasn't really thinking, and I was in the conversation.
Yeah.
And we had Cavs cap numbers. That's really intense conversation.
Big stuff. Yeah.
And I just because I just popped the tops off and took them again. So if I black out or just drag me off the.
So
set.
I take high blood. Also, not a surprise. I take high blood pressure medication too. I just started recently, and what I would say is because I take 4 pills.
I take 2.
I take 4 pills a day, not for blood pressure. 1 for blood pressure, but I take 4 total pills a day.
Yeah.
And what I do is I have a little bucket with my pill bottles.
Alessia bought me that, and I don't use it. The one like the daily.
No. They're in their regular bottles. I just keep them in like a little box or whatever.
Yeah.
And when I leave them at my spot at the table until I've taken my pills, and then I move them away.
Yeah.
So I know that if my box is right by my spot at the table, I have to take my pills. And if they're gone, I know I've taken them already.
I have the daily, we're so old. This is such an old man conversation.
It is very old man
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the daily.
Yeah, but you won't use those.
I mean, I don't use them. So
I feel like
I wind up taking it twice.
Your wife is someone that would do a lot of things like that for you, and you would not take advantage of it.
100%.
Right? Like, I know the situation. Like, your wife's on top of all that stuff.
Yeah, and
you're like, whatever, I'll just figure it out.
I'm an ADD disaster that takes blood pressure meds twice a day now. So.
Yeah.
Now I have bifocals. I take blood pressure meds.
Man, you are. I mean, it's over.
It's over.
It's pretty much. You're in the home stretch.
Yeah. Just put
Dustin,
me down.
you got any medication questions you want to share?
No, I'm pretty good. My blood pressure was high.
Yeah.
I was taking medication for that.
And then you got skinny.
And I got skinny, and now my heart rate's like a dead person.
There you go. You know, speaking of commercials and speaking of
Dustin was on a commercial.
You were on a Super Bowl commercial, of course.
So
did you know that was going to be the case?
They've been airing that commercial for months.
Yeah, I've seen it.
But this one was on the Super. I mean, only locally.
Locally.
Well, still, there's a lot of people watching it.
Well, no kidding. And I didn't know, and my phone was blowing up. What the heck's going on? So we were at the Super Bowl party.
Right. Yeah, couldn't make it. He's doing better now. Yeah.
So
now my wife's sick.
We're at the party, and there's 100, 150 people there.
Yeah.
It's a big party, and they got the up on the big screen, and the commercial comes on, and I'm like, oh, that's me.
Yeah.
and everyone in the room's like clapping.
Yeah.
Because I'm there.
Yeah.
And then I look at my phone. I had 37 text messages from people I haven't talked to in years.
Yeah, and you look.
I didn't recognize you, Dustin.
Yeah,
I'll be honest,
I sounded like a plump turkey.
That was as heavy as I've seen you. I feel like
that was in April of last year. I was 230.
And now you're the skinniest I've ever seen you.
I'm 180 pounds now.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Good for you, Dustin.
Thank you.
I'm like the before and he's the after.
Well, we got a lot to get into today. Obviously, the drama never ends with Myles Garrett. The Cavs are back in action today, looking to grab a victory. And so plenty more to get to today. Plus, no guests today.
No guests, but we're talking some Guardians, too. They
and
have
the Guardians later, some TV stuff. By the way, real quick shout out. I've shouted him out before.
Your butcher?
Not my butcher, although I do appreciate the butcher. My Sia is my butcher, and she's making special knishes just for me. So I'm excited about that because they're impossible to get in Northeast Ohio.
What's a knish again? What is that?
It is either a fried or baked crust, like kind of a not really pastry, but
it's a savory pastry.
Yeah, okay.
It's like a phyllo.
And then the inside is like basically mashed potatoes
and meat. Yeah,
it's very delicious. You've never had a knish before?
No,
I don't believe so.
Neither of you.
No.
Larders
and
Deli.
and your wife's from New Jersey.
Yeah.
Bull, Larders Deli has great knishes.
Larders Deli doesn't always have knishes.
I got one this
I
weekend.
love Larders, but they don't have knishes all the time.
What kind of meat?
It could be anything.
There's no meat.
He said meat.
It could be.
Okay. Those, yes, but those are not real knishes. I mean, dude, you're from you want a real knish?
Yeah, I grew up with knishes with meat in them.
They do make knishes with meat in them, corned beef or pastrami or something, and they're delicious. But that's not a traditional
chicken
knish.
or beef.
No chicken or beef.
Is this like similar to like a pierogi?
Very similar.
Okay.
Is it the same family? The outside is different. The outside, they're bigger. I'd say they're like 2 or 3 times the size.
Flakier?
And the outside is more flaky than
like a
noodly.
puff pastry.
It's like a tart. Dustin,
Yeah.
think of like a fruit tart dessert, like that kind of crust, but it's kind of folded over, and it's potato. And I grew up with meat knishes. I guess traditionally they don't.
I mean, would it be is the outside more like a pot pie kind of crust?
Yes.
Not really.
Yes. Closer than anything we mentioned.
I guess it's closer.
I'm trying to get in the ballpark here, boys.
One of these days we'll have to all go to New York and then we'll get you some real knishes.
Why is the butcher making mashed potatoes and puff
I was
pastry?
thinking the same
She's
thing.
not really
right?
a butcher.
Well, she said butcher, and I'm like, okay, where's the meat?
Right.
They joke about butcher. She's I go to Lake Road Market. Shout out Lake Road Market. It's a small local supermarket in Rocky River. That's where I go to get my cold cuts because they have Boar's Head cold cuts, which are the best.
You gotta get the Boar's Head.
Boar's Head's the best. And I've become friendly with Sia, who works there. She's an older woman, and she's there all the time from 9 to 5 every weekday. So I see her, I chat, blah blah blah, and she somehow it came up that I love knishes and I can't get them around here, and she's like, I'm going to make them for you.
Wow.
So she did like a couple of months ago. They were amazing, and now she's like, I'm going to do them for you again.
All right.
Bring them
bring them in.
Share the love.
Yeah, right.
You had someone else to shout out before.
Oh, I do have to shout out.
Hot or
No,
cold?
hot. You eat them hot. Okay, one more person I got to shout out. He's Cleveland's own John Fanta. So, John is going to be on the call tonight. He texted me this morning to remind, because, I'm now that St. John's is good again.
He's got Johnny's tonight, huh?
Yeah, he's doing the Johnny's game.
Is it the Garden?
No, I think they're on the road at Villanova tonight. So it's a 6 o'clock game, and he was like, I'm on the call tonight. I'm like, I think it's him and Rafferty doing the game together.
It's a hell of a combo.
Which is a great combo. He did his game with Tom Crean last night. He did I think it was DePaul Marquette maybe. I can't, was it DePaul
He's
Marquette?
all over Big East Hoops, man.
Anyway.
No one knows that combo.
John Fanta is kind of blowing up, and he's got to be blowing up even more. This guy, in my opinion, I'm a little biased, I admit, but I don't think it's affecting my decision-making here. He is the best young play-by-play guy out there, I think. Especially for basketball. I don't think I've heard him do other sports. But he has a passion for college basketball that I feel like I don't find that many passionate college basketball people anymore. And he loves it. He's into these games. Last night he did a game with Tom Crean for the first time, as I mentioned, and he had a Diet Coke, and a player kind of fell on the table, Diet Coke all over the place.
Oh, man.
And Tom Crean was awesome, went right with it. Tom Crean's trying to clean it up so it doesn't get all over John's computer. It was and John's a great dude.
Fanta's the best.
Yeah,
he's passionate.
We love him.
While we're shot, go ahead.
No, that's it.
Did you guys talk about Hayden yesterday?
No, but I was going to mention Hayden real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, you do it.
No, I mean, you know him better than I do.
Our boy's all grown up, dude.
Our boy's all grown up. He all grows up. He's all grows up.
Dude, that dude's come so far, man.
Yeah,
and I'm so proud of that dude.
Hayden Grove, obviously, I'm sure you've heard. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
Sports writer, does social media for Cleveland.com. He's on The Voice. He got chosen by Adam Levine. I've known Hayden since he first came to Cleveland, I think 2016-ish.
I didn't know he wasn't from here.
He
grew up in Florida.
He grew up in Florida, went to Ohio State, moved here.
You'd think he's from here, born and raised, because he owns it.
Oh yeah, and it was funny because the way that he wiggled in with me, Dave, and Joe on the Cavs beat was he offered to transcribe for us from press conferences, and we're like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
And so he got in. A smart kid, that shows you how smart he is.
Yeah.
He's grinder. I mean,
that
kid would cover three. He's like a Jeff Shadell. He'd be at everything.
Don't compare. Jeff Shadell.
Don't compare.
No, I'm saying they're everywhere.
Yeah, they are.
Jeff Shadell's everywhere.
Jeff, and Tom Withers are
those
every
guys
game.
cover every sport.
I mean, Hayden's at Ohio State.
He sang great.
But
yeah,
dude,
I was so impressed.
We've always heard him sing before, and he does a lot of stuff locally. But then the Michael Bublé thing, I'm sure helped him get this opportunity because he connected with him before and went on stage and that whole thing. But this is awesome, man. I saw the clips and all that. He killed it.
I don't understand I don't watch the show, so when they're like, you should do it, I didn't know what was going on with that.
You don't turn around.
I didn't know you get picked by a team or
it's
whatever.
It's a blind audition. They don't see you. They just hear you, and then they have to choose you.
So then Adam Levine basically is his manager for the show.
Gotcha. Well, that's cool.
So
and good luck to him. I mean, he obviously got an amazing voice.
Yeah, friend of the program.
He's a crooner, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to Hayden. Shout out to your butcher. Shout out to Jason's guy. Shout out to all the Dustin fans out there. We appreciate all you guys for tuning in.
Yeah.
And,
all right, let's get to some
Let's jump
here.
into some sports here, guys. Yeah. We're going to start with the Browns after a quick word from FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game so you can stay with the action starting from the opening tip-off, or you can stay in the fourth quarter to bet on a comeback. No matter when it is, FanDuel has bets for you to play. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. Right now, FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if their first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. That is FanDuel.com/UCSS for your shot at $150 in bonus bets if you're a new FanDuel customer. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. We start, though, guys, with the Browns and their decision at #2. We talked during yesterday's show about the pressure the team may be feeling to draft a quarterback. Shedeur Sanders confirmed yesterday that his first official top 30 visit will be with the Browns. And then there was a clip from Nathan Zegura on Cleveland Browns Daily yesterday that I thought would kind of be a good lead into our topic. So let's listen to Nathan Zegura on what the Browns should do with the #2 pick, and then we'll dive into our conversation. But this is Nathan Zegura from Browns Daily.
I know Mel Kiper's got Shedeur and Cam Ward, in the top 4?
He had 1, 3, 1, 4.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And guess what? That position is more important than all the other positions combined.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Browns fans just in general, and maybe in other cities it's happening as well, where they're scared to draft a quarterback, and they'd rather do something that's safer.
100%.
I don't understand that. What would be worse? What's worse? Trading down or not taking the quarterback and watching them blow up and solve another team's quarterback issues,
right.
Or taking the quarterback and he doesn't work out. Guess what? Then you get to do it again. And you do it and you do it and you do it until you get it right.
Yes.
Because until we have a quarterback, none of this matters.
None of it.
So, Bull, Dustin, Jason,
yeah.
You heard what Nathan said. We talked about the possible pressure from the fan base to draft a guy because if you don't and he pans out elsewhere, that could be the worst-case scenario. No, G's not here to defend his side
you
of
took that. I mean, that's not nearly the first thing I take out of what he said.
No, I'm just saying that led off of what we started yesterday, and G. Bush isn't here to kind of back up his claim. But
right.
What was G's claim?
So, no, that it's worse it'd be worse if the Browns passed on the quarterback and he was good somewhere else than if the Browns took him and he ended up being a bust.
Okay, all right. Okay. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I don't really care if the Browns don't take him, I don't care if he's good or not.
Right.
I mean,
I'm kind of with that.
Yeah, I also felt like it's worse. I said.
And that's why I didn't want to start because G was here to argue that side.
Yeah, right. Let's move on.
So I wanted to lead into that with Nathan's comments. What you take away from Nathan?
Well, yeah, he's
spot on.
What he said, there's some truth to but the fans being nervous that's irrelevant in the end.
Yeah.
He's right about that part. Fans are always scared. And the reason fans are always scared is because the Browns have always gotten it wrong. The Browns keep getting it wrong at quarterback.
Yeah.
And so, the fans are scared, but that's ultimately irrelevant as to what, or at least it should be.
Right.
We've said this once to say it a million times. If Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski, Jimmy Haslam, whoever's ultimately making that pick, if they're influenced by the fans or the media, they suck at what they do. They should not be.
I said this before. When I was covering the NBA, I was talking to a GM who said, listen, you can't worry about what the fans – if you worry about what the fans think and say, you're going to be sitting with them next year. Yeah. That's the worst thing you could do. I agree with the last thing he said is what I've said on the show until you get the quarterback right, nothing else matters.
That's correct.
Where I think I disagree with him a little bit is that doesn't mean you just start swinging wildly. If you're ownership, you have to go to the GM and say, I don't care what anybody else says, I pay you for your evaluation. Is this guy worth taking or not?
That's right.
And if you're going to stand up on the table and say, this is our guy, I don't care what anybody else says, you take him. Because it is the most important position. But if you stand there and say, I don't like him, I don't think he's the guy, why would you take him at that point? Because the logic to me then is, just take a quarterback with every pick.
Right.
Every single draft pick you have, take a quarterback because we suck at this. And by God, eventually we have to throw a dart that hits something. So every pick we have, let's just take a quarter. You know what I mean?
Yes. So and yes, the argument against that would be, there's a great quarterback every year, but there's not. Most years, most drafts.
I think there is. But that doesn't mean you take him second overall.
That's true, but there isn't. It's not the year Kenny Pickett, whatever year that was. There's nobody good in that draft.
It was the Brock Purdy.
Oh, Brock Purdy wasn't.
Yeah. So there's always one, but you don't take Brock Purdy with the second overall pick.
Well, but maybe they should have. Look, I don't. The point is that you don't. Yes, the quarterback is so much more important than anything else.
100%.
And yes, shout out to Mike I couldn't think of the word punitive before, and he popped it back in my head. It's not as punitive if you draft a quarterback and blow it than it used to be back in the day when you were paying the quarterback $25 million.
Or look at the Cardinals with Josh Rosen, and then they got back the very next year.
And it was a non-factor.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. If you get it wrong, okay, you can move on. That doesn't mean you should draft a quarterback in the first round every year until you get one, unless you truly believe there's somebody worth it. Now, on the other hand, the GM can't be like the fans and be scared to get it wrong at quarterback and don't take a quarterback for that reason.
I agree with that.
That would be a mistake too. Go ahead, Dustin.
So the question is, can the Browns afford to pass on a quarterback with the number 2 pick, right? Okay. Yeah, the Browns can.
Yes.
But Andrew Berry can't, and Kevin Stefanski can't. That's why they need to take quarterback at 2, because those guys, if Cam or Shador turn out to not be good players, okay.
They're going to get fired.
They're going to get fired. Guess what else? If they draft a safe player or a defensive end or whatever it may be at 2, and they still don't have a quarterback, they're going to get fired. So you got to just pray and hope. The only way I think these guys keep their jobs and come back is if the quarterback, one of those two guys, ends up becoming a good player.
If that's the case, that's a terrible situation for the organization to be in.
How can it be any other case?
It seems like that's the case.
I think it's pretty obvious.
I would argue that if Andrew Berry says to Jimmy, listen, none of these quarterbacks are worth taking in the first round. I'll take one of them. I'll take the guy that I think is the best of the bunch, but I don't think any of them are that good. I think at best they're lower tier starters, and I think we'd be wasting this high draft capital to take them. So what I'm going to do here is take this defensive lineman or take Travis Hunter or take an offensive lineman, whatever. We're going to bring in a veteran quarterback, and we're going to be,
I'm just telling you right now, Adam, and you know this team as well as I do.
I know.
Okay, because we've done it the same amount of time. Jimmy Haslam could tell Andrew Berry that, and they could have that conversation.
That's true.
And still fire him.
Yes. Absolutely.
Right, but
still fire him.
What if they do sign Kirk Cousins, for example? I'll just throw him out there. And whoever they draft ends up being a really good player. It looks good as a rookie, not a quarterback. Guy plays good. The team's competitive because they could be even without a rookie quarterback. The Browns could be. They're almost definitely not making the playoffs.
It's the NFL. Any team
they
can
be
competitive.
Yes, and let's say they win 6-7 games next year. Are they getting fired? I don't think they are.
We have to see it.
It depends on what they look like.
We have to see it.
Yes.
What are those narratives? How are they playing from week to week? Is the defense struggling? How's the defense going to be without Myles Garrett? Most likely.
This is a terrible situation that the Browns are in.
It's awful. It's no win, and they're not going to win soon unless one of those. I'm telling you right now. Unless one of those guys is the next Jaden Daniels, it's going to be a long road here, folks.
And right now, the only thing I'll say about the quarterbacks, because you said it, Jason, right now, everybody that covers the draft thinks these quarterbacks are not special.
Did you hear what Albert said yesterday?
I did not. What did he say?
If this was last year, they may not go in the first round.
Okay. But what is that based on? Like him speaking to some
other
GMs?
Teams, yeah.
Now, even guys like Albert getting misinformation sent their way.
Well, yes, but usually when you're talking to other teams that don't have a dog in the fight, they're a little bit more honest.
Right, that's true.
What I would say is, I'm not paying those other teams. I'm paying you.
That's right.
You are the one I'm listening to. You are the one. You're the opinion I value, Andrew Berry. You're the expert on this. I want to know what you and your staff say. I don't care what the Bills say, what the Ravens say, what the Steelers say. What do you say? If you tell me they're not worth it, then we're going to listen to that and we're going to go with that. If you tell me it's close and it's worth a shot, then we'll take the swing. But what do you say? I don't care what anybody else thinks.
And everybody else, like you said, there could be 28 GMs that don't think either of these quarterbacks are worthy of a top 5 pick. And if Andrew Berry's one of the 4 that does believe it, then he should absolutely take it.
And it doesn't matter what bullshit they come up with to say to us on draft night. That doesn't matter. What matters is what AB and his staff say to Jimmy Haslam in the room after the combine, when they're building out the board.
Yes.
That's the and we may never know the truth on that, but that's the conversation that matters. What they say then in that room of, you know what, it's close, I don't love them, but we need something, or absolutely not, or absolutely yes.
So Nathan is right that you have nothing. Like, I was busting Jay's balls yesterday about how, now you can win different ways. You can't really win different ways. You have to have a good quarterback. You don't have to have Patrick Mahomes to win a Super Bowl, but you have to have a good quarterback to win a Super Bowl.
Right.
The Eagles don't go to the Super Bowl if Daniel Jones was their quarterback last year. I don't care if Saquon Barkley ran for 4,000 yards. So you got to have a good quarterback, and ultimately you're getting nowhere. You're not a real contender, and at the very least, with a good quarterback, your floor is competitive. That's your floor when you have a good quarterback, no matter how inefficient the rest of the team is. But I've lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
I lost my train of thought there. Where was I going with that?
Shout out to Sia one more time and you'll come back.
Sia?
Jeez.
You're old. You're on blood pressure meds.
I just lost that train of thought right there. It was about the quarterback. And, here, I got it. So
and it's back.
Ultimately,
it's back, folks.
Sia, shout out Sia.
Nathan is right that you have nothing until the quarterback. And he's right that fans are scared and fans are. But But ultimately, and you have to keep taking shots on some level, whether it's free agency, trade, first-round pick, second-round pick, late round. You keep taking shots at quarterback.
Right.
The Browns should draft a quarterback at some point.
I'm with
in this
Garrett.
draft.
They should take 2.
I think they should take 2 as well.
Yeah.
Fine. But you don't just take a quarterback in the first round every year until you need one. That's it. You don't do that every year unless there's somebody you think is worth it.
But Adam, they don't have the number 2 or number 1 pick every year either. So
That's true.
like they've got the pick of the draft. Whether those guys are good or not is to be determined, and that's on Andrew Berry's cojones are on the line here.
Yeah,
he is being paid and has been paid to make this team a good, competent football team and have a competent quarterback. They haven't had one. The Watson thing has been a disaster. We don't know who the hell officially signed off on that or said we got to do this. Was it Barry? Was it Haslam? Whatever. I don't care. Point is, it sucked and it didn't work. Now you got to do a lot more work to make up for the mistake you made.
Yeah.
The Browns have had a top 2 pick, I believe, 4 times since '99. They took Tim Couch.
Yep. Courtney Brown. Baker Mayfield.
So 5 times.
Baker Mayfield.
So they blew it with
Miles Garrett.
Yep.
Yes.
This is at least 5.
This will be the 5th time. So with Tim Couch, they blew it. I mean, I don't know that any quarterback would.
I don't know if
they blew it. Tim Couch, man.
Yeah.
Tim Couch is a baller.
Yeah, I don't think they blew it. It didn't work because.
Well, shouldn't they have taken Randall Cunningham looking back, or would Randall
Donovan McNabb?
He
had no line in front of him.
You're right.
The injuries shortened his
we'll
career.
leave that one go because Tim probably would have had it. If Tim had been on a reasonable team, he probably would have had at least a solid career.
Yes.
So
being the first pick of an expansion team.
Right, exactly. So we'll leave that one. I'll leave alone.
Yeah.
And Courtney Brown, I don't remember.
He got hurt. He was a bust.
But what were there quarterback options at that point?
You took Tim Couch the year before.
Yeah.
So you're not going to do.
You had your quarterback.
So we got to throw that one away. Obviously, as great as Myles Garrett was, they should have drafted Patrick Mahomes. I mean, we weren't talking. I was just saying recently when you weren't here, Dustin. I don't think we ever discussed Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson at the time.
No.
But we should have. Obviously,
of course we should. But the reason we didn't is because Patrick Mahomes played at Texas Tech.
Yeah.
And was like kind of off the radar. They were 8-5.
Right.
And you were like, oh, this guy, he's got this rocket arm. Like he had all this athleticism and stuff, but he was kind of like a niche product. We didn't know what he was. And a lot of people, by the way, thought it was a little bit nuts for the Chiefs to take a quarterback that high when they took him. And they traded with the Bills, by the way, who have been paying the price for that one because they end up with Allen and they get Mahomes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Real quick, Bull, by the way.
Yeah.
In the Courtney Brown draft.
Yeah, who was the best quarterback that year?
Tom Brady.
Oh, God, yeah.
But
that's what you can do.
Chad Pennington was the only quarterback taken in the first round.
Marshall.
He was taken after the kicker. Janikowski went 17th.
Pennington was a decent quarterback, but not a franchise.
There wasn't a quarterback drafted
late,
in the
but he was a
second
good
round.
quarterback.
Yeah.
There was not a quarterback drafted in the second round?
It went Pennington,
This was
18
2000,
overall.
right? This is 2000.
Yep. Giovanni Carmazzi, who never threw a
sucked.
pass in the NFL, was the second
This is
quarterback
my brother's
taken.
draft.
Oh, my God.
Chris Redmond, also in the third round.
Redmond, Louisville.
Yeah.
And then T. Martin in the fifth.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
They took Spurgeon Wynn 16 picks before Tom Brady in the sixth.
It's unbelievable.
Where did he play college ball?
Spurgeon Wynn?
I don't remember that.
remember.
Texas State.
Texas State.
State.
The Bobcats.
I thought that was a made-up school from
No.
the movie Necessary Roughness.
No,
No,
man.
I
so
didn't
just
realize
not
that
a
was
big
an actual
quarterback
school.
draft in 2000 when they took Courtney Brown. They wouldn't have
But-
taken one anyway because.
And then-
But hold on.
Yeah.
They did take Spurgeon Wynn in the sixth round, 16 picks before Tom Brady.
Man.
That's unbelievable.
For whatever it's
Of course
worth.
it wasn't.
If I would have been GM of any team and watched Tom Brady's workout, I wouldn't have drafted him either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, let's be honest. Same thing with Purdy. Like you can't predict those things.
Right.
Right.
No,
You can't.
That's why most of the good quarterbacks were drafted in the first round. Some cases early second.
And
there's very few good quarterbacks that drafted later than the second round.
It's
man,
a lot of
that's
luck.
a rarity.
Man. When you're third round and beyond and you hit on a quarterback, a lot of it is just luck.
And that's why when people like,
You know what I'd love? Here's
Yeah,
what
go ahead.
I would love.
yeah,
I would love for the Browns to, at number 2, shock the world and take a quarterback we're not talking about.
that would be a shot.
You know why? I would love it is because it would mean that that's their guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we know it. And like, I don't give a rip about what anybody else says because they're
Yeah.
putting their nuts on the line that they're going to get their guy. Now, I don't know who that would be. It could be a Jackson Dart. Is he worthy of going number 2? I don't know.
Killing Jackson Dart yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the kid. I've watched him
Yeah.
play like 3-4 games this year.
Yeah.
And I got to study probably a little bit more of him. But like, here's the thing. We know that Dane Brugler doesn't even have Cam or Shador in his top 20 prospects overall.
Right.
Not that that's the end all be all. I respect Dane's opinion.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a lot of people out there that probably don't have both of these guys, maybe as top 20 prospects. Okay, well, if that's the case, then really doesn't, like, if you are in love with a player, especially a quarterback, I don't care if they take him at 2. I really don't. I mean, you want to try to get the best value for the pick and the position that you're selecting. Sure. But at the end of the day, if you take him 2 or you trade down and you risk maybe, I don't know. Yeah. Get your guy.
Let me just throw this out as kind of random and no way to prove one way or the other.
Yeah.
Do you guys believe that if the Browns obviously in the last 6-7 years could have drafted Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson, 3 of the 4 best quarterbacks, maybe the 3 best quarterbacks in the league?
I know the question. I know the answer.
Do you think the Browns would have won a Super Bowl if they had drafted any of those 3?
No.
By now?
No.
You don't think so?
No. The Mahomes, Allen, and Lamar?
Yeah.
I bet you neither one of them has an MVP.
Oh, you don't think? So I mean, that's
who was the coach when they of those? I'm trying to think.
Well, you would have had
Mahomes.
Well, we had 18. Well, sorry,
it was Hugh Jackson.
No, Mahomes was before that.
Mahomes was 17.
Oh yeah, he was
17.
Miles
17. Yeah.
So Hugh Jackson.
So
Hugh Jackson.
Yep.
They didn't win a Super Bowl. Hugh.
No. Lamar was the same year as Baker, right?
Same year, 18.
18.
So Hugh.
So it would have been Hugh Jackson.
Yeah. So it would have been
right, but he would have been fired.
It would have been Hugh
probably.
And Freddie. Like that whole Congo line doesn't change.
Yeah, there's no way, dude. There's no way.
Okay, but let's say it went the same way it did with the coaches. Would Kevin Stefanski, with those good? I mean, because if your answer isn't, if your answer is not at least that they'd be a perennial deep playoff team.
I think
that's
it would be
the indictment on Stefanski.
Like it's such a sliding doors question. It's hard to.
It's unfair.
It's hard to. I mean, maybe Hugh Jackson's still the coach here. If they get Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes.
The Browns could have had the 3 of the 4. Only Burrow of the 4 best quarterbacks they couldn't have.
Yeah.
They could have Jalen Hurts.
To me, Josh Allen is the freakiest of freaky quarterbacks we've seen out of all these guys, and he doesn't even have a Super Bowl win. Hasn't been to one.
Yeah.
And so, with that being said,
and people correct me if
I'm
wrong.
The Bills are like a model franchise. They're run well. They've got good coaches for the most part.
I don't love their head coach personally, but all right, whatever. It's my opinion.
I played for Sean, but that was like 17 years ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know what he is as a head coach.
Yeah.
I mean, when he was a position coach, he was in his 30s.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But I know this much. Josh Allen's great,
Yeah.
and they're not great.
Yeah.
They get the AFC title game.
Right.
But what's that do for you?
Do you believe the Browns would have gotten to AFC title games?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's an interesting question. And the thing, taking this back to the fans, you guys would know this better than me because you were on the air every day. I don't think anybody wanted Josh Allen that year.
No, they didn't because it was the 56% completion percentage. It was played at Wyoming. It was he only threw 17 touchdowns and
nobody
and
wanted
10
Lamar
picks or whatever it was.
Yep. And
no one wanted Lamar.
I was the only one who wanted. No, I wanted Josh Allen. Josh Rosen. I was stupid.
we all get suckered in and sucked into whatever's said on First Take.
That's right.
Or these talking heads, and we're the bonehead idiots too. I mean, we say stupid stuff all the time. It's a crapshoot, man. It is. And the Browns are really bad at gambling.
They're the worst.
That's a very good way to put it, Dustin.
The Browns crap out more than any team in sports.
They're like the cooler.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to our next topic of the day.
G.
Bush did not do an Ultimate Brown show yesterday to get a dental procedure done, so he's going to do it later in the week. He's back on the show Friday. So at some point this week we'll get another Ultimate Brown show. But if you were looking for the Ultimate Brown show on the page,
that guy's got something going on with his health every other day. I mean, I love him, and I'm praying that he's going to be healthy. But like it's like a tooth, it's like a hangnail,
it's always something.
It's a back, it's like a hip.
He is the Byron
Buxton. He sends us a doctor's note too.
I'm waiting for him to roll in here with his fresh J's on in a sweet outfit with a top hat in a wheelchair.
It could be.
And be like, I'm here, fellas.
Yeah.
All right, so I got to give a shout out to our guy Manuel for this next topic.
A lot of shout outs.
Manuel.
He sent me an email this morning, and he sent me a few emails in the past. He's a big Texans fan. Found UCSS during the Deshaun Watson legal situation, and now says he watches every day from Houston because he finds this entertaining. So shout out to Manuel.
Shout out, Manuel.
He sent me a long email today about the Myles Garrett situation. I thought part of it was really interesting. He was talking about the cap gymnastics and the Browns' future cap situations and implications of trading Myles. And he mentioned when we had Jack Duffin on a couple weeks ago, Jack saying, well, as long as Jimmy's willing to spend, the Browns can kind of finagle their way out of it. But he posed the question. I'm going to pose it to you guys in a second. Will Jimmy continue to spend at the levels he's been spending the last 4 seasons if the Browns aren't in a Super Bowl or legitimate championship contention window? And take the graphic full. Over the last 4 seasons, 21, 22, 23, and 24, they were top 3 in the league in overall cash spent. Projected salaries that are already on the books for 2025, this is before free agency, before restructures, they are currently first according to Spotrac. So each of the last 5 seasons, the Browns have spent more money cumulatively than any other team in football. You guys have been around here much longer than I have. Do you believe Jimmy will continue to spend at levels like that if the Browns aren't any good? Or will we see Jimmy pull back with the dome on the horizon and try to save a few bucks here or there because the Browns simply are not in the same position or the same thought bubble of we can win a championship that they were when they initially made the Deshaun Watson trade?
Have the Browns been a legitimate Super Bowl contender in any of these seasons? No.
They thought they were, and we thought they were. It turns out, in hindsight.
When?
Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah,
I did not.
Picked them to make the Super Bowl.
This year?
Not this year.
Oh.
But during that era. I remember doing shows with you when you were all on board with Baker.
I was.
So?
But that's not since 2021.
Oh, you're right. Okay,
yeah.
That's fair.
Early Baker, yeah. I mean,
that's fair.
Even if you could argue in 2021, coming off the COVID season, the way Baker had played in 2020, that yes, it was maybe in 2021. But since then, they were mediocre in 21, and Baker obviously regressed.
I did get swept up in the playoffs, and I thought Flacco had a big enough arm that he could take him there, and they lost the first game, and that was bad.
And I say that just to say, listen, you never know. Some teams go up and down with their spending to some degree.
Right.
But the only thing, I could criticize Jimmy Haslam for a million things. The only thing to this point in his Browns tenure, the only thing that I cannot criticize him for is spending.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so, is it possible because they're going to stink next year that the spending will go down? I guess to some degree, but most of that money is already accounted for.
Yes.
Now, there may not be that much new spending this year on free agents, but I just think that's not because he is going to pull back the purse strings. It's just because what's the point of bringing in veteran free agents when you're going to stink?
Right.
So, yes, it's always
people
possible.
thought the Commanders were going to stink this year, and they brought in veteran free agents.
Well,
and they drafted a quarterback, too.
That's true, but it was the quarterback that turned it around.
But they didn't know that.
That's true, but if the Browns...
Those guys were signed before Jaden Daniels.
That's true, but when free agency starts, by that point, the Browns will probably know whether or not there's a quarterback they think can turn the franchise around in the draft, don't you think? By the time we get to free agency, it's only like 5-6 weeks before the draft.
I mean,
I think they already know.
I think
they should. They already know.
They should. The guy's worthy of the pick. I mean, I don't. You never know until the guy's in the building. And,
that's fair.
And you can wrap your arms around the guy and understand, like, does he have the capacity to go out there and do it right now?
Right, but right now, let's say the Browns are like, let's say they're not taking a quarterback. They've already decided. Well, they know they're going to be, best case scenario, mediocre next year. Best case, if they're not taking a quarterback and that quarterback doesn't turn into a great player. So why would you spend big in free agency this year? And I don't know that they can because the cap has become a factor for them, especially if they have to trade Myles Garrett.
It's a tough spot, Adam, because the team, if you're not taking the quarterback this year at a high pick, and you're going to be mediocre next year, you're going to be caught in purgatory picking a quarterback again next year in the middle of the first round. So yes. and if that's the case, like, it's a tough spot because the coaching staff will get blown out if they win 2-3 games. Yet if you don't take a quarterback in this draft, you need to win 2-3 games so you can get the number 1 or 2 pick next year. So
because
it's just a really, really tough spot, man.
And to your point, if those top 2 or 3 quarterbacks next year are super special, well, even if you have...
You certainly can't bank on that now, by the way, because that changes by the second.
That's true. And the Browns, I know a lot of people think, well, if they trade Myles Garrett, they'll have all this draft capital. But let's say there's 2 quarterbacks. Let's say Arch Manning and what's his name that Zach liked, the kid from
Nussmeier. LSU.
Let's say those 2 guys are, by the time we get to next year, it's clear those guys are going 1 and 2. Well, the teams at 1 and 2 are not trading down.
Depends who they are.
Well, unless it's in an unlikely situation where one of those teams doesn't need a quarterback, which is not rarely the case. It happens sometimes. But how often do the teams picking 1 and 2 not need a quarterback?
Would you be shocked if the Bears are 1 or 2 again next year? I wouldn't.
I'd be shocked. I would.
I wouldn't.
I would. They got.
I'd be shocked.
One or two. I mean, I don't think they'd be there. I'd be shocked.
I think Caleb's good. I think Caleb's good.
No, I'm in Chicago.
Okay.
To get them to the point where they're not going to be picking that high.
I agree. And by the way, I don't think Carolina's going to be. I think Bryce Young showed a lot of improvement second half of last year.
The fact that he was able to improve after everything that he went through, all that adversity, says a lot about the kid.
When they're best.
Dude, these kids from Alabama, man, I'm telling you, Nick Saban deserves a lot of credit because these dudes come to the NFL as grown-ass men and they know how to handle tough situations. The Jalen Hurts thing's unbelievable. But, like, I look at that kid, too, Bryce Young. Like, people were writing him off. We were writing him off.
Yes.
Not me, but some people were in the media after a couple of games. It's like, okay, give the kid a chance.
And his best wide receiver was a 33-year-old or 34-year-old Adam Thielen. Like, that was his best. And Thielen missed part of the season, too. So, I mean, what's his name? Chuba Hubbard had a nice season.
He did.
Solid year as a running back. But they didn't have a lot of talent on that team, and he played really well.
They had no defense.
So, you ask me right now who's going to be the top 2 picks in the draft, I'm going to say could be the Browns. Right now, could be the Raiders. Titans, whoever. I mean, you never know. But more often than not, the teams picking 1 and 2 need a quarterback.
Yeah.
But yes, it is possible.
Jason, do you think Haslam would continue to spend at a top 5 level in terms of overall cash spent if the Browns aren't still at least playoff contenders?
I think he would spend whatever it takes. I don't think the spending is the issue. I think it's whether it's you at some point you just have to take your medicine with some of this stuff. And if you chalk it up that let's follow Bull's example, they're not going to take a quarterback. Well, then just eat the medicine on Deshaun and on Miles and all this stuff and get this stuff off your books. Because part of the reason the Browns haven't been able to spend, yes, it's the fact that they redo contracts all the time, but it's also all the money that they rolled over from year to year when they were really bad. And it's almost like, we'll go back to the NBA with the NBA taxes and everything, with repeat offender and all that. At some point, you need to get out of that and sort of cleanse everything, and then when you're good again, you can sort of restart it.
But it's much more punitive in the NBA,
for sure. But I'm just saying, if they could clean up some of this stuff, so that they then have the space when they are good, if they ever are good. But if you just keep putting Band-Aids on head wounds, you're not giving yourself an opportunity to let the body heal, I guess. It'd be the best way to say it. Now, if you are going to take a quarterback at 2 and you're just going to keep going and you're going to keep going and you're going to keep going, then he's going to keep spending.
Right.
And they're going to keep finding nooks and crannies and crevices to try and I think they're pretty much out of contracts that they can restructure at this point. And that's why the contracts that you pick are what is so critical to doing it this way. And we've talked about it before. I wrote about it like a year and a half ago. The Eagles are the best team in town, or the best team in the league, at knowing which guys to restructure. And, of course, Andrew spent a year with Philly. It's probably where he came up with this, and Jimmy's willingness to spend. A team like Atlanta picked the wrong guys to restructure, and they were in cap hell for a couple years.
By the way, to your point on the Eagles, I don't think they have a player making more than $25 million or somewhere around there. Double check that, Mike. Like, they're not paying. I've been hearing all of a sudden, the last couple of days. How can the Browns learn from the Eagles? The Eagles,
they have 2 guys making over $25 million.
Who?
Jalen Hurts makes 42.5, and AJ Brown makes 30.
Okay, I don't know. That's still only 2 guys making more than 25 million. And in the grand scheme of quarterbacks, $42 million for a quarterback is not that bad compared to what they're paying. The Chiefs have the best quarterback and the best coach. But the Eagles, I think, have been the best organization
100%
for a while.
Yeah.
They have a great owner. They have a great GM. And so the Browns can't be the Eagles unless they become much smarter.
Howie Roseman was there when I was there. He was VP of player ops when I was there in 2006.
Right.
So the guy's been a lifer with the Philadelphia Eagles, and the owner's been there the entire time, Jeffrey Lurie. And they just get it.
They get it.
Philly, you're referencing. Sorry to cut you off, Jason.
Yeah. Go
ahead.
You are referencing their cap number. They have no one over $25 million. No. They have no one over $22 million in terms of cap.
They just won the Super Bowl, and they have nobody with more than a $22 million cap.
Here's their top 5 guys. I mean, Hurts, Brown, Lane Johnson, Josh Sweat, Jordan. How's the guy's name?
Malata. And what they have in common? They're all good.
But
they're not paying anybody that sucks.
And they're really good at identifying which guys to restructure.
Saquon Barkley's making $6.8 million.
I mean, think about Philly. I think the two best run teams in the NFL are probably Philly and San Francisco. And both of them missed on quarterbacks, and they just kept right on going. Philly missed on Carson Wentz, gave him a ton of money. They found Jalen Hurts, and they just kept right on rolling. San Francisco made the awful trade for Trey Lance. They found Brock Purdy, and they just kept right on going. To me, Buffalo probably be up
Kansas City's got to be up there, too.
Of course. But when you have the best quarterback in the league.
You can't just copy what Philly's doing. They hit on so their hit
their
percentage
draft record's incredible.
Is crazy. So of course Philadelphia can get away with the 6th or 7th or 8th best quarterback in the league instead of number 1. Because the rest of the teams.
But they also run their offense around that quarterback's strengths.
100%.
So it's like you can't put Jalen Hurts into another offense and it be like that.
No, you're not having to drop back all the time.
No.
And Jalen Hurts, I think he's been so over-criticized. The guy's a very good player. Nobody's saying he's Lamar or Allen or Burrow or Mahomes. But he's just as good as anybody else.
The dude is a stinking war daddy and a champion.
That's it.
And a champion in life, dude. I mean, the guy has been through. I saw the interview, again, it was played on some of the reels, like when he got interviewed after he got benched in the national championship game 2018. Tua comes in, and like he had a bad first half. He gets benched. He has to transfer to Oklahoma. And like to go through all of that. And by the way, in that interview, he still was like praising his teammates and like such a positive.
Teammates love him.
He's a special person, man. And that's what you can't tell going into these drafts. Is like those intangibles that these players have are so crucial to a team's success in building a culture, especially around that quarterback position, because that guy is the heartbeat of that locker room.
But I do feel like the good teams can identify that.
Or do a better job in general.
I think that's a totally accurate assessment. The Browns are not one of those teams.
They haven't been.
And so why would we give them the benefit of the doubt when it comes to picking this most important player?
Don't you rely on, like, wouldn't the Eagles rely on Nick Saban at that point? And Nick, I'm sure, would be, or whoever the head coach is who has relationships with these NFL teams, would give you a pretty honest assessment of, this guy's a headache. You don't want this guy. Or this guy, I love this guy like his son. This guy's absolutely, like, the head coach, you have to, I would imagine, you have to have trust in the head coach of the college program, and the head coach needs to be pretty honest with these NFL teams. Or else you're going to burn that bridge in the future.
I also think
part of the reason why I'm intrigued with Jalen Milroe just a little bit.
I think
I hear you.
It's teams get so enamored by 40 times and how high they can jump, how strong a guy is. And I'm not saying those things aren't important. Of course they are. They matter. Talent matters. But nothing matters more than a guy's a guy's work effort. And it does seem like, and maybe it's not the case. Maybe the Browns do due diligence on it, and for whatever reason it hasn't worked out. But it seems like the better teams just get things like that right. Even in this division with the Steelers and the Ravens, they generally do a much better job of that.
I mean, I'm going to say this, and it's going to be very evident which player you lean to here. But like I always look at the quarterback position, and I look at, okay, where did he play college ball? Did he play at a blue blood? Did he have a great system, great coach in college? And also high school too. You look at the high school coaches and see what kind of program he came from. And on top of that, I like coaches' kids. It's a coach's son. Those guys have a different work ethic, different drive than a lot of players. And every time I talk to these coaches when I do my games during the week, first thing they say about a player who's like just a grinder, a work ethic, like coach's kid. All right. Well, guess what? Shedeur Sanders, coach's kid, grew up around it. Like that. That's those things to me matter maybe even more so than some of the things you can see on tape.
Well, I do agree with. I've said that about Shedeur. The fact that you grew up Deion's kid, there ain't nothing you can't handle. Like you've seen it all. You've been told it all. You've been screamed at it all. So the pressure issue, I don't worry about that with him at all.
No, not at
all.
Go ahead,
let's
Mike.
talk a little Cavs, guys. Before we do that, if you're not already a member of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, there's 2 different members tiers that you can join. The first one is a starters tier. For $1.99 a month, you get loyalty badges, custom emojis, and members-only community posts. But for $4.99 a month, you get to be a coaches tier member. That is all the same starter tier perks, plus daily overtime videos, discounts for merch, and much, much more. So if you want to support UCSS and get that extra overtime content, make sure you become a coaches tier member. You hit the join button on our YouTube homepage. All right, guys, let's talk a little Cavs. Tonight will be DeAndre Hunter's second game with the Cleveland Cavaliers. He had an impressive debut on Monday in his first game. Jason, you wrote an article this morning for The Athletic detailing how the championship window is now officially open for the Cleveland Cavaliers after this DeAndre Hunter trade. Before we dive into what we expect from Hunter tonight and a potential matchup against Brandon Ingram, who had also been tied to the Cavs for quite a while, do you want to tell the people out there why they should check out your article and a little bit of what's in there?
If you don't want to get buried in the cap jargon, I don't blame you. It's a lot. It's tedious. It took me literally probably 2 to 3 days to wade through it all. Bottom line is they've got 3 years. And that I'm not saying that as that's a bad thing. I'm saying that as that's a really long time in the NBA. 3 years is an eternity. So they've got 3 Junes, really. They've got this June, next June, and the following to win a championship. And then it's probably going to end for this, at least as this unit is built. But really, I mean, I don't know how much more deeper you want to go to than that. You can look at Evan Mobley's if Evan Mobley makes an All-NBA team at the end of this season, that's going to dictate how much he makes. He could make more than the max that he's already getting, and that will impact their future. I don't want to get too deep in the weeds because I don't think people really care. But the important thing to know is they've really got 3 seasons with this group currently intact. That's why the Hunter trade was big, because his contract lines up exactly with that window. They've got him for this year and then 2 more.
Right.
So they can keep this group together. They can make a run for 3 postseasons. They got a chance to win a championship.
So they acquired DeAndre Hunter. Check out Jason's article on The Athletic. We highly recommend it. Now that the dust is settled, they pushed their chips in for Hunter. As Jason just alluded to, the championship window officially open for 3 years. Let's just go big picture real quick before we dive into tonight's game. Knowing all the small forwards that had been at least connected in rumors to the Cavs, the Ingrams, the Hunters, the Cam Johnsons, knowing what we know about what they had to give up for Hunter, knowing what we know about how he fits from a defensive and offensive standpoint now, at the end of the day, was that the best possible option for the Cavs to acquire to be that 3-and-D wing alongside the core 4 ball?
I mean, I think it's an impossible question to answer because he's played 1 game, so we don't know yet what his fit was. I mean, it looked fine in the first game, but it's 1 game. And we don't know, like, it seems like Cam Johnson would have been a better choice. But that, obviously, the Nets were looking for a lot more because it made sense for the Nets to trade Cam Johnson. And it wasn't like they just didn't trade him to the Cavs. They didn't trade him, period. So I'll say that he was the best guy they could have gotten without giving up an important piece on the roster. And as Jason said, and I know you guys have talked about it, I'm certainly not an expert on it, but once you reach these aprons in the NBA salary cap situation, it's very hard to add players of significance. Correct, Jason?
Yeah, they can't use their mid-level
exactly
this summer.
So they had essentially 1 spot to fill before it became hard to fill, and I think they got the best player they could have gotten reasonably. And so I think it was the right move. As you said, they're all signed for the next 3 Junes. And doesn't mean they can't still be good after that. We'll see what happens. But who's worried about 4 years from now? I don't care.
Right.
Let's see if they can win a championship in the next 3 years. It certainly doesn't feel impossible because, I think we'd all agree Boston's probably still, they are in Vegas the favorite. And Oklahoma City's real tough.
Boston won't be 2 years from now, though.
Okay, that's one thing. Plus, like, as good as Boston is, and obviously you'd have to give them the edge over the Cavs if both teams are healthy in the playoffs. But not by a lot, especially if the Cavs have home court. Does anybody feel that the Cavs wouldn't have a reasonable chance to beat the Celtics in a 7-game series?
No, I don't feel. I mean, that was worded kind of wonky. I believe the Cavs absolutely could beat Boston. Would I pick them? Would I put money on them? I don't know.
No, but would you give them a 40% chance?
100%.
So there you go. I mean, that's a pretty – so the Cavs have if you'd give the Cavs a 40% chance to beat Boston, well, then you give them higher than that against anybody else. So that means the Cavs have a reasonable chance. They're the third favorite in the odds to win the title. And who knows, if they were, and by the way, if they were in the West and Oklahoma City was in the East, the Cavs would be the second favorite. So, I think a lot of people think they're, 2A, 2B with Oklahoma City. So the Cavs are right there. If anything, you'd think if they're healthy, and it's a big if, they'll get even better next year because they'll have more chemistry with all these guys.
Yep.
And obviously Evan Mobley's game has really blown up. So, yeah, I think he was the best guy they could have gotten at this time, and they have a legitimate small forward, a legitimate starting caliber small forward for the first time since LeBron James. And so I like where they're at right now.
He's a really good player.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be an all-star.
No.
He has to be better than what they had.
Yeah.
And he obviously is. The biggest question that I have with him, and I think everybody does, is can he stay healthy?
Yeah.
And we don't know. We don't know.
Right.
But he is an excellent defender. Like he can score. Like all the things that we've been dying to see out of Okoro and some of these other guys who've been Dean Wades of the world, like rotating through that fifth spot as a starter. It's like this guy sort of has it all. Can he stay healthy? That's the big question that I have. But I like the move, and frankly, like we were all about it, talking about it before they made the move. It's like, how are they even going to get this deal done? Like when they made that move, I'm like, sweet.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done it if I were the Hawks, but whatever.
Right.
They did.
And Karis LeVert was not going to be here next year anyway. So even if you say, well, Karis was they didn't give up nothing. Karis LeVert's not nothing.
No, he's a good player.
But Hunter's better, and LeVert was gone at the end of the year.
Hunter gives them something that Karis did not. And Karis gave them something that Hunter doesn't really have in terms of an offensive
But they need the Hunter thing
They
more.
need the Hunter. Yeah. There's easier ways, I think, to replace the Karis piece than they didn't have the Hunter piece.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of layers to this, and I want to get back to the Atlanta piece at the end. But so ideally, like perfect world, I think Cam probably fit them a little bit better.
Right, sure.
But you're not getting Cam for the package that you gave Atlanta.
Right.
And for reasons that we don't necessarily need to get into right now, they needed to hold on to the 31 pick for a lot of these apron issues that we're talking about coming up down the road. Who knows what kind of condition the franchise will be in 31. There may be opportunities to use that down the road. That pick's going to gain value the closer you get to 31,
Sure.
so there may be opportunities later to use that. So it was wise to hold on to that piece. The Jalen Tyson piece, they're going to need young guys who don't make a ton of money.
Sure.
As this thing grows, especially if you look past these next 3 years, you're going to need guys like that. So for what they gave up, I'll go back to, I think I mentioned this on the show a couple weeks ago, when they traded for Timo Mozgov. I was having a conversation with David Griffin about it. And there were bigger names available at the time. I don't remember who they were. And Griff was like, I don't need another star. Like, we got Kevin, Kyrie, and LeBron. I don't need a star. I need a big mother bleeper who can fill the lane. That's what we need. And he only makes $5 million. Like, he was a perfect fit.
Right.
And that's sort of, somebody in Jasper, Indiana is calling me. That's sort of what that's sort of what the Hunter thing is. There was bigger name. Brandon Ingram's a bigger name.
Yeah, right.
There were bigger names that they could have gone and got, but Brandon Ingram just signed a contract for twice as much as what DeAndre Hunter makes. Hunter's contract fits with this window. Hunter's game on the floor fits with what this team needs. So you could get a bigger name or maybe a piece that maybe fits you a little bit better, but for the price it cost you in trade capital, for what he cost you financially, for the length of his contract, for his age, all of that fits right into where they're at pretty seamlessly. So if like going into this, if you'd have said like you got two options, who do you want that's a realistic target that they could get, I probably would have said Cam Johnson and DeAndre Hunter, and they got one of those guys.
Yeah. And ultimately, it's one game. I certainly don't want to make any sweeping judgments based on one game. But was it a coincidence that Evan Mobley had one of his best games? Because now he's playing, especially in the beginning and the end of the game, with four guys that are threats, legitimate threats to score. I know Jared Allen's not going to shoot, but like you can't leave Jared Allen wide open because then he goes to the basket and he dunks. So
guys Jared doesn't tend to drift very far from the rim. But I hear
that's true. But the other guys that were playing, what I'm saying is the other guys that were playing instead of Hunter.
Yeah.
defenses weren't as worried about those guys. Hunter's more dangerous offensively, and so you can't help off him.
He's more of a threat than Isaac Okoro at the 3-point line.
Right, exactly.
That's for sure.
In the playoffs, you're not worried about Isaac Okoro. You're gonna double team Evan Mobley or double team somebody else.
I will be curious to sort of poke around and see how do you guard them now in a playoff series. If you're an opposing team and you got to scheme them, because it was always you're playing 4-on-5 if Isaac's on the floor. And and Isaac's a great kid, and I know it sounds like I'm picking on him. I don't mean to pick on him. But opposing teams would just leave him open. They just wouldn't guard him.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can do it. Like, you have to pick something when you're facing the Cavs, but I don't think that they can do it quite to the extreme that they were with Isaac. And the Atlanta thing's interesting because I kind of dug in on it the last couple of days because everyone said the Cavs just stole him from Atlanta. Barkley said, I don't know what Atlanta's thinking. I think I understand a little bit better why Atlanta did what they did. I know people in Cleveland don't care. But
I'm curious.
But they had they've got a plethora of wings. They got a glut of wings. When they signed Hunter to this contract, they didn't have Ricochet, the number 1 overall pick. They didn't have Dyson. They didn't have these guys who have emerged as really good players.
Jalen Johnson.
Yeah, Jalen Johnson. So they're deep at wing, and they're paying him starter money. They owed him $40 million over the next couple of years. Atlanta's coming up. They're behind the Cavs. But they're coming up to where they're thinking they could make some noise in a couple of years. So I think they wanted to get off some of that future money. I am still a little bit surprised that they didn't get a 1 for him.
Right.
But I understand Atlanta's motives now because I've spent the last 2 or 3 days trying to dig in on this trade and from a cap perspective and from motivation. So I think I understand a little bit better. And I just think that the two sides aligned. Both sides fit each other's needs well.
And obviously nobody was willing to give up one, or they would have traded him somewhere else.
They would have traded him somewhere else. He's
so.
Not a perfect player.
No,
he's not. But
he fits the Cavs really well.
Timo Mozgov was not a perfect player.
Right.
But that year, and Timo didn't even help him win the championship,
That's
really.
True.
But the year that they got him, they needed a big body in the lane, and he filled exactly what they needed.
Right.
So from that, and to your point about the injuries, you need him to stay healthy for 8 weeks, from the middle of April to the middle of June. You need 8 weeks to where he's.
I don't need him to play 40 minutes a night here right now. No. I need him just to get dialed in.
Yep.
Is he, when they're playing the Celtics, is he defending Tatum?
Will he start on him? Well, see, like if you're going to switch everything.
Then no, he's not if you're going to switch.
Because you want him to switch onto him.
Gotcha.
So you can look at it, so you can cross-match a start, knowing if they're going to run pick and roll, we're going to switch. Although if you cross-match, they may not set as many. You know what I mean?
Yes. So what's the plan? What's the plan defensively against Boston with this team? What do you think?
Jason and I talked a little bit about this on the Cavs show Tuesday morning. Yeah. Kenny Atkinson said after the Minnesota game and Jason asked the question, it was a great question. He's not afraid to try stuff in the regular season.
Sure,
test stuff
smart.
out, as opposed to other coaches who keep it extremely vanilla and try to save it for the postseason so there's nothing on tape.
Which is stupid.
Well, I mean, that's
different philosophy.
I don't know that one's right. I mean, Ty Lue did that. Ty played everything vanilla defensively.
Well, but that's different.
And then they would change
proven
everything.
Guys that played,
And then he would change, like the Cavs would defend in the playoffs completely differently than they did.
Right, but with Hunter being a new guy.
And Kenny having to get to know these guys. And not being familiar.
Yes.
And Kenny said, like, hey, we got to see it. We got to see it on the floor. We got to see it live. We got to see what it looks like. So and Kenny likes to mix it up. He'll throw zone.
Yeah.
At teams. He's talking about how he played a box and one against Ant the other night.
Yeah.
And so they're trying different things to get different looks at guys. If you're asking how they match up against Boston, I think Hunt guards either Tatum or Brown to start. You disagree, Mike?
Are we assuming it's the core 4 plus Hunter in the starting 5?
Yeah.
For the sake of this,
yes.
Yeah. And down the stretch, the minutes didn't matter.
You probably start Allen on Porzingis.
Yeah.
Mobley on Tatum, Hunter on Brown.
Okay.
Or those two could swap.
Yeah.
And then the guards on, Mitchell on
that's
Holiday.
That's a big difference.
But and we saw it even when they played here a couple weeks ago, I guess a month ago. Whoever Garland's guarding, they're going to set a screen with. And it's going to be on the Cavs to either fight over the switch and not give that up easily, or if they're going to switch, Boston hunts mismatches more than any team in basketball.
Say again?
Boston hunts mismatches more than any team in
And
basketball.
we saw that in the game here where Garland wound up on Tatum.
Right. But
game long.
Which I get, but before Hunter, they had 2 problems on defense, essentially. Now they only have 1.
Yes. And if Porzingis is setting that high screen and rolling, the guy that's coming over to help before the first rotation is now not, in some instances, a 6'4 Max Strus or a 6'4 Isaac Okoro. It's a 6'8 with a 7'3 wingspan, DeAndre Hunter.
Can we get a Porzingis tweaked knee or something?
One more thing with Porzingis. With Hunter, though, that I think goes back to Jason's point. You have 3 Junes, and this is why, although I was Team Johnson over Hunter, too, I think, considering what they gave up, it's perfect. Every playoff series is different. And just like in the football postseason, I don't think baseball applies. To win a series, you don't have to necessarily play your style of basketball. You have to play the best style of basketball to beat said opponent.
Sure.
And now the Cavs have the flexibility and the option to play big if they have to play small if they have to play with more shooting if they have to.
Yeah.
DeAndre Hunter, we haven't talked about this a ton on the show, ranks in the 90th percentile of all players in the NBA in points per post-up possession. If they got to go and attack the mismatch, vice versa, and they have a smaller guy guarding DeAndre Hunter, you can put him in the post, and he can score for guys better than most players in the NBA. He gives them the lineup flexibility to play big, to play small, to play long, to play shooting, or to play big without sacrificing enough size defensively to match up with any team in the Eastern Conference.
Do you think, to that point, maybe even against Boston, we could see an occasional lineup where either Donovan or Darius are out there with Hunter, Allen, Mobley, and Dean Wade?
Yeah.
Hunter, Allen,
Mobley, Wade. With either
Wade.
Darius or Donovan.
I'd want a little more shooting.
I was just going to say that. I would swap out. Is there someone to swap out Allen for to give you another shooter?
Okay.
Who's got length?
If you go Strus, Mitchell.
Yeah, that's not the length, though. It would be like Donovan, Hunter, Wade, Mobley.
There's nobody else.
Yeah, there's not another.
You're not putting Tristan in there.
No. I guess it would have to be Allen.
Yeah.
I think you are a little short on shooting with that lineup.
But then you got, but defensively.
But defensively, you're really long.
You could really,
You're really long.
We talked about this. If you have one possession, you need one stop.
Yeah.
Boston has the ball with 12 seconds left. Cavs are up 1. You can put out a lineup of Okoro, Hunter, Wade, Allen, Mobley. And that's as damn good a defensive 5 as you can find.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that you can get in that specific circumstance all that often.
I mean, coming out in ATO, they've got the ball side out of bounds.
Right, yeah.
And you got a timeout left to get out of that right after.
That'd be a pretty dangerous group defensively.
This will never happen because he's not here, but we talked about the potential of buying out Ben Simmons. If you had swapped Simmons with Okoro in that situation, and you had 6'8 Hunter, 6'9 Wade, 6'10 Simmons.
Ben Simmons, what a punk he is. He's a loser. Why did he sign with the Clippers, right?
He has a house in L.A. He likes the weather.
What a loser. The Clippers stink.
He could have a bigger role.
They don't stink.
They didn't have much of a role.
They're mediocre.
They didn't have much of a role for him here, and they wouldn't be able to re-sign him.
Yeah.
Is there anybody in the buyout market that they still may be interested in, or is it nobody else?
Did you hear Stephen A. Smith
say that?
Oh, my God. I was texting about that yesterday.
That's going to be overtime, by the way.
Okay. All right.
Did you hear Windhorst? Okay.
I saw the whole clip, yeah.
I texted Brian and said, I'm calling him Stephen Smith for 24 hours. I've suspended the A. He's lost the use of the A for 24 hours.
He was losing his mind, Brian Windhorst. Go ahead, Mike.
You guys ready to get back to the Browns, talk some Super Bowl odds, and then we'll go Guardians and wrap the show up with some more Cavs. But first, a quick word from FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to place a bet in the fourth quarter, you can stay in on the action, and if you're looking for bigger payouts, you can combine your live bets into same-game parlays. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if their first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. That is FanDuel.com/UCSS for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Speaking of FanDuel, they have released their 2026 Super Bowl odds. It's 278 in. And I hate calling it 2026 because technically it is 2025, but the Super Bowl will be played next year.
You can just say the odds for the 25-26 season if you want.
But I don't like doing that. It's the 25 season, the 26 Super Bowl, whatever. Next year's Super Bowl, the odds are out. Before I show you this, these are FanDuel. But I know you mentioned it in Bet Rivers already, so I'm going to exclude you from this.
Yeah.
Dustin and Jason, what do you think the Browns' odds to win the 2026 Super Bowl are at this point, this day and time?
I would say, like, for next year, they're probably like plus 4,000.
No, more than that.
5,000?
Jason?
Jason?
I just combined Jason and Dustin into one person.
Dustin gets called Justin all the time.
Yeah, I don't even correct anybody anymore.
My apologies. Jason?
It was so funny, especially when we first went on the air for Bull and Fox, that nobody ever got my name wrong, even though nobody in Cleveland knew me before I moved here. And yet he played on the national championship Buckeye team, and people would call him Justin all the time.
That's funny.
My
bizarre.
apologies, Dustin.
No,
Jason,
I don't care.
What's your guess?
Yeah.
I'm not good on gambling lines. Dustin's the pro on this. I feel like you sent us something, but now I don't remember what it was.
I did send it in the rundown last night.
So I said,
Might be double what I said.
I'll say 5,000.
You guys are both
Is it like 10,000?
way off. And let's take the graphic here. The Giants have the worst Super Bowl odds. 210
so
to 1.
it's 1,400 to 1.
The Titans, 200 to 1. The Raiders, 190 to 1. The Browns, the Panthers, and the Patriots at 140 to 1. The Jets and New Orleans at 120 to 1. Do you want to see the top odds just for the sake of seeing the top 5 teams before we dive into the Browns?
Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore.
Eagles, Baltimore, yeah.
Eagles at plus 600. Chiefs, Ravens plus 650. The Bills plus 750. The Lions, 10 to 1, and the Niners at 5 to 1. And go one more down for the AFC North odds, just so we're all on the same page here. We just mentioned the Ravens at plus 650, the Bengals 18 to 1, the Steelers 65 to 1, and the Browns at 140 to 1. But let's go back to the Browns and go back to 278.
That was way off, man.
In the same grouping with Carolina and New England. Is that the appropriate spot for the Browns heading into the 2025 season?
Absolutely.
Yeah, all those teams belong there.
No, because Carolina and New England have quarterbacks they believe in.
That's fair enough.
New England definitely does. Carolina should, but I don't know that they do, but maybe they do.
All right, I put Cleveland below them.
100%.
Until you have a quarterback.
You could make an argument. Show that whole list again. I mean, you could make the argument that the Browns have less of a chance than any team in football. Obviously, the Giants, Titans, and Raiders all don't have quarterbacks either, but at least the Giants are in the NFC where it's easier to make the playoffs, and the Titans are in a division where only the Texans are good. Whereas, the Raiders, it's a bad situation there. But
I don't know why the Jets are above the Browns. I put the Jets there too, I guess.
I think the Jets have a little bit of a better team minus quarterback, but it's still bad. New Orleans, they'll have Derek Carr as their quarterback, who's not very good. None of those teams are any. If you look at that board, and let me bring it up one more time. If you said, give me the best shot of making the playoffs next year, who would you say?
Of making the playoffs?
Yeah. I don't think any of them have a great shot, but I know who I'd pick.
I would say the Giants.
Interesting.
My choice. I like their coach.
Okay.
And if they can figure out their quarterback situation.
I think I'd say the Saints.
See, I'd say Carolina. Because I like their quarterback, and they're in a terrible division. Now, the Saints are in a terrible division, too.
Right.
But I think Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young has way more upside than Derek Carr. I mean, Derek Carr is what he is.
I was kind of going off the division and the NFC.
You guys are smarter than me.
Yeah, that factored in. My last choice to make the playoffs would be either the Browns or the Raiders, probably. The Titans right there, too.
I would say the Raiders. I'd put the Raiders below the Browns.
Yeah, they're going to get Russell Wilson and they'll win 8 games.
Well, if they get Russell Wilson, I'll probably change that answer. But right now, today, I think I'd put the Raiders below the Browns.
The Raiders and Browns are in good divisions in a good conference.
Yeah. And I like I don't know. I think the Browns need to just retool this whole thing.
Yeah.
But part of me, I think, understands the illusion of if we get a quarterback, we can make the playoffs. Yeah. Okay, fine. But what does that get you? Because you're not close to a championship. Like being a playoff contender, being a Super Bowl contender are completely, to me, are totally different conversations.
Yes. The Steelers may be a playoff contender next year. They're not a Super Bowl contender.
I don't think so.
You're not winning a Super Bowl with Russell Wilson or Justin Fields.
No.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe somebody else would be
not today's NFL.
No. So if you don't have a quarterback, you're not a Super Bowl contender, period.
Yeah.
End of conversation.
You make playoffs.
Yeah. But you're more likely to do it in the NFC, where the competition is just not as good top to bottom. But, yeah, those odds are completely reasonable, especially now it's early. I mean, free agency will move things around a little bit. Certainly the draft will change things around a little bit. But right now, I mean, you're certainly not going to bet on any of those teams to win a Super Bowl. Because the best quarterback on that board is either Drake May or Bryce Young, I guess.
Yeah.
What do you think of the AFC North odds, Bull, and go down to?
Go ahead. So
that's Super Bowl odds.
Oh, that's super. Oh, that's the AFC
Within
Super
the
Bowl
division?
odds. Oh,
Yeah, AFC North teams.
Oh,
for Super Bowl
not
odds.
winning the division.
No, this is for the Super Bowl odds, just AFC North teams.
I think they're all reasonable. I mean, the Ravens, plus 650. I get it. The Bengals at 18-1. That's probably somewhere between the 6th and 10th best odds, probably, which makes sense. The Steelers 65-1. They're like on the fringe of.
They'll move up when they get a quarterback. When they select, when they.
I mean, I don't. Do you think any of those numbers are way out of line?
Right
Anybody?
now, no, not right now.
No.
The Bengals are 6th, by the way.
They have the 6th? No, 7th, because there were 6 on that top 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
But you had 2 teams tied.
Oh, I missed the Eagles. 7th. Sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. So there's 7.
I scrolled down 1. I missed that.
Right. So, yeah, they're 7th.
Yeah, 7th.
I would actually have the Bengals ahead of the 49ers right now. But the 49ers are in a little flaw. But then again, the Bengals defense was bad. But I don't know. I mean, if Joe Burrow's healthy, they'll make the playoffs next year. I got to believe. I can't imagine he's going to be healthy and they won't make the playoffs 2 years in a row, even with their defense. But we'll see what happens, if they keep T. Higgins or not. There's talk about them franchise tagging him again this year, which would probably not make him happy, although he'd make almost $30 million. But the Niners are in flux. Deebo Samuel's wanted out. Ayuk's coming off injury.
Yeah.
McCaffrey has had
McCaffrey's
injury
getting old.
Last couple of years.
The Ayuk thing was messy last year. So what happens to that now?
Yeah.
Guys have long memories on stuff like that.
The Niners get that based on reputation because
I think they've been tremendously run to this. But
right,
happens?
But they had a bad season.
They've had a ton of injuries too.
Personally, I'm not 100% sold on Brock Purdy yet. Are you guys?
I'm probably 90.
Yeah, I'm with Jason. I mean,
is he a top 10 NFL quarterback? Not to me.
I mean, we have to go through. Let's just put a list up.
Yeah.
Like one day on the show, let's just come up.
Top 10 quarterback.
I do too. It drives me crazy. It drives me nuts.
Jalen Hurts is by our standards not a top 10 quarterback.
By what standards?
So let's just come up with a tote board. Let's come up with a tote board of top 10 quarterbacks, so we can stop saying every day it was the top 10 quarterback. We can just look at the board.
Then how do you define a top 10 quarterback?
However you personally define it.
Do you want to have a day next week where we just make that a topic? We debate the top 10 quarterbacks in football?
Next Wednesday.
Next one, we can do it next Wednesday.
All right, let's do this real quick. I'm going to do it real quick now because Jason brought it up. All right? Let's go to this.
Screw your idea.
Screw your idea, Mike.
Just toss that out the window.
This is the preliminary.
Kill! Real quick.
Let's do it a lot worse by doing it right now.
Yes. All right.
And then next Wednesday, we'll do it with research.
We'll go through the division. You will talk about the quarterbacks that you think at least should be in the argument, and we'll see how many we have, and then we'll take out who we don't think is in the top 10. Fair?
Do what now?
I don't know.
Okay. AFC East. What AFC East?
I'm sorry, Mike. This is my fault.
What AFC East quarterbacks?
Actually, I think it's my fault.
What AFC East quarterbacks are at least have an argument of being top 10? Obviously, Josh Allen. Jets, nobody. Is Tua have an argument for top 10?
No.
I mean,
well, his advanced numbers are through the roof.
All right, let's put him in the conversation.
Through the roof.
So put him in the Can you write the names down, Mike? Josh Allen and Tua, and then Drake May, obviously not.
No.
AFC North, you got Lamar and you got Burrow.
Yep.
So we're up to 4 guys. AFC South.
C.J. Stroud.
C.J. Stroud.
Put him on there.
Nobody Titans. Nobody Colts. And Trevor Lawrence, no.
No.
AFC West,
probably said differently
Mahomes.
last year.
What's that?
I said he probably would have said differently a year or two ago about Lawrence, maybe, no?
Maybe, but he's only had one good year, so I can't put him up there.
All right, so go ahead, move on.
West Mahomes.
West Mahomes. Justin Herbert, put him on the list.
Yep. No one from Raiders.
Nobody from the Raiders.
Broncos, no.
Bo Nix is
Bo Nix not top 10.
Not there yet.
No. Okay, that's the AFC. NFC East, Jaden Daniels. I'm putting him in the conversation.
Sure, put him in the conversation.
Yeah.
In the conversation.
Jalen Hurts, put him in the conversation.
Jalen Hurts in there. Dak Prescott, put him in there.
Yeah.
We'll see if we knock him out because we're going to have more than 10 guys. And then the Giants, nobody. NFC North, Caleb Williams, no.
Sam Darnold, no.
Sam Darnold, no. Put Jared Goff in the mix. I don't know if he makes it, but put him in there.
Jordan Love?
Jordan Love, put him in the mix.
On there, yeah.
Possible. NFC South, Baker.
No.
I think he's got to be in the mix.
Got to be in the mix.
All right, put him in the mix. Put him in the mix.
He can be in the mix. He's not going to
put Baker in the mix. We'll probably cut him out.
We'll cut him out.
Coming off the season, he deserves to be in the conversation.
Fair. That's fair.
All right. No, but nobody for the Saints. Bryce Young, no. And Falcons, no.
No.
And finally, the NFC West.
Seattle, no.
Purdy in the conversation.
Purdy.
Put Purdy in the conversation.
Stafford.
Stafford, not anymore.
Kyler Murray.
No. Oh, yeah. Stafford still, yeah.
You put Stafford still in the conversation?
They're one play away from the Super Bowl, dude.
Fair enough. No, from the NFC Championship.
That's what I meant. I think they win, I think they win
so
the
you want
NFC
the
title.
total number of guys that we
So
have
Stafford,
in
are
the
we putting Kyler Murray in there? No.
No.
All right, how many guys we got?
Murray, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
15 quarterbacks.
So almost half the league.
Okay.
So that's the list. Next Wednesday, we'll cut it to 10.
All right, fair enough.
That's how you do
it. Yeah.
That's good, Mike. We have
That
15 guys that at least deserve conversation.
Yeah.
I like that.
I love it.
Will Baker make that top 10?
Is this going to be like the Hall of Fame where everyone has to come up with their guy and they have to present to the group and you have to debate for 2 hours?
It should be.
I think Baker's going to get better because
we'll have some fun
he's
with
done all this without a lot. I mean, they had Mike Evans, but like the other guys are kind of nondescript. Like they're going to add.
The big knock on Baker, and maybe he does ultimately, is that he turns the ball over more than all those guys.
And then we can definitively say the UCSS top 10 so we could stop asking, is he a top 10 quarterback?
We'll do this every summer.
Jay will disagree with it. Because he'll have his own. He'll have his own top 10.
All right, guys. We're going to talk a little Guardians here because they made a big announcement yesterday. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Do us a favor. It helps out on the front end.
Oh, what about the back end? What about the back end?
All the ends on the YouTube analytics. Hit the like button. Hit the
split ends
button. It costs $0.00. Helps with split ends too. So do us a favor. Hit the like button, and we appreciate each and every one of you guys for making UCSS part of your daily routine.
Speaking of the Guardians, by the way, let me promote that the great Tom Hamilton, who is being inducted into the Hall of Fame this summer, I spoke with him, and we just posted the podcast of me talking with Tom Hamilton. We talked for 32 minutes, and he talked with me for close to a half hour off the air, which was fascinating for me. I mean, unfortunately, the rest of you don't get to hear what he told me off the air. But he was so generous with his time, and it's a great interview. We talk about CC Sabathia, the upcoming season, and a whole lot more. So please check it out on YouTube. I'll tweet out the link later. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Check it out because Tom Hamilton is always worth listening to. But yesterday, the Guardians made a pretty major announcement. For just $99.99, you can stream all regular season Guardians games this year at clevelandguardians.tv. It is part of the MLB network, eliminating local blackouts. So now, for directly from the Guardians to your couch for $99.99 a year, you can get all the Guardians regular season games. They also announced their talent lineup. Matt Underwood is leading the play-by-play, joined by Rick Manning and Andre Knott. Al, Kaylee, Cody, Ben Broussard, Chris Jimenez, Nick Goody, Jimenez, Chris Goody, Austin Jackson, Jason Kipnis will be some of their pre- and post-game analysts. But they did announce that pre-game shows will be for home games only in 2025. Social News Desk is acting a fool right now. That's why this looks so ridiculous on screen.
Not Goody.
Goody. I'm unfamiliar.
It's like a Nike commercial.
My apologies. But, Bull, is this a win for local baseball fans, being able to get all the Guardians games for $9.99, even if they don't always get pre-game shows for road games?
This is a huge win. Yes, absolutely. And this is a win for the Guardians, too, because people that want to watch their games can actually watch them. There's a lot of people that did not. If you had YouTube TV, you couldn't watch the Guardians. Yep. In fact, I had YouTube TV a couple of years ago, and then when baseball season started, I canceled it and picked up Fubo.
Same.
But people don't. There's a lot of people that don't want to pay whatever I pay for Fubo, $75, $80 a month. So a lot of people can't afford to pay that every month. This is a one-time. You get to watch. I think technically it's not every game. I think there'll be a handful like ESPN,
Apple TV.
But yeah, Apple TV. But it's probably the Guardians aren't on national TV all that often.
85%.
Probably higher than that.
90%.
Probably like 155 of the 162 games that you can watch for $99. That's like $1.50 a game.
Dude, this is I think it's the best thing.
And no blackouts.
Going because of the no blackouts. To be able to at all times have this device in your pocket.
Yeah.
And be out at a dinner or somewhere and be able to pop the game on. It's incredible. It should have been like this for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't understand why it's taken so long.
Took baseball too long.
But whatever. I mean, I hope that we can get to this place with the other sports. Why can't we? Just because I'm in the market, I should be able to watch it on my phone.
It's insane.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, and by the way, I am like you and have YouTube TV.
Yeah.
And the Guardians aren't on it.
Right.
I have Spectrum at home.
Yeah.
But when I'm on the road, I'm just out and about in town or whatever, I can't watch it. I think I could have got the Bally thing or whatever and typed in my Spectrum. It's a pain in the ass.
Their app was terrible.
It's a terrible app.
Bally, yeah.
The MLB app is the best app of all the sports.
Great. Yep.
And I'm a big, I'm into a lot of sport. I spend, hundreds of dollars on tennis apps to watch tennis matches. So this is, to me, a no-brainer. I also pay for the MLB extra innings package as well.
Right.
So,
which is funny because you don't watch a ton of baseball.
But the games I want to watch, I want to be able to watch them.
Right,
so,
right, that's right.
So it's my job to watch these games and talk about it, so I want to be able to have access to it.
What do you think, Jason?
It's important because I'm with you guys. I had YouTube. I loved YouTube TV.
I think it's the best.
It was great. And I had to
awesome.
cancel it and go to DirecTV for the Cavs and Guardians because the Bally's app was so horrendous. You could never get it to work. But if you do have DirecTV, you're still going to have you don't have to have DirecTV and then sign up for this.
Right. No.
So but I think there's been some confusion out there. Wait a minute. So now I still no.
Yeah, people might think this is the only way. Right. It's not the only way. It's just another option.
And I think that probably they'll announce. I don't think they know yet, or if they do, they haven't announced it. What channel the games are going to be on for people like us who have DirecTV or Fubo. They have to come up with a channel.
Do they not have a deal with like FanDuel or with Bally's?
No.
Or is Bally's gone? I don't know.
Yeah, it's been such a mess. And it's been in bankruptcy court. Well, I mean, the channel still exists, but there's no deal. The Guardians are one of those teams that are like linked with the MLB.
Right.
It's this sort of wonky.
Who's cutting the checks for the talent? I mean, I'm just curious, who owns the rights?
I think it's a partnership right now between the Guardians and MLB.
I like Dustin. I pay for the MLB extra innings every year.
So do I.
Because obviously I want to watch the Cubs too.
Yeah, so do I.
But
if you pay for extra innings, do they give you your local team too?
No,
it's blacked
they
out.
haven't.
100?
But that's what I don't have the answer to that. That's what I'm wondering. If you pay for MLB, if you have the package, it says no blackouts. Do you now get Guardians as part of the package?
I would assume so.
So you could either pay $100 and get the Guardians, or what is it, like $150?
No, I think it's $250.
Is it $250?
Yeah.
I thought it was $150.
I thought it was $175.
Oh well, I don't know. I guess
I'll look it up. Hold on.
Yeah.
I mean, just get the whole thing.
I think most fans here just want to watch the Guardians.
Exactly.
So there's no need to pay the extra money.
So many fans have been shut out. Over the however many years that this has been going on. Baseball butchers a lot of things, and this is one of them.
Oh, my God.
It's been a disaster. The local TV contracts, frankly, is part of what's ruined the game, as far as I'm concerned.
These teams,
ruined is a little strong. Hurt the game, I would say.
I mean, Yankees.
Baseball's still making a lot of money.
Take it easy, Mr. Gatekeeper. You know it's hurt the game that these teams are making, like the Yankees. Yes Network deal was astronomical.
Yes. What the Yankees and Dodgers can spend in large part because of their TV contracts compared to it's asinine. It's what makes the NBA great. It's what allows the NBA to have franchises in Oklahoma City and Memphis, by the way, that are teeny tiny markets, but the TV money is divided equally, and it's so massive that it allows you to have teams in some of these smaller markets. And baseball just has never been able to come around on that. Hopefully this is a couple-year process that's kind of messy and wonky and clumsy, and they will get to a point where MLB controls, I don't know if you're ever going to get the Yankees and the Dodgers away, but most of the teams, and they come up with some sort of platform to make this a little bit more uniform. But this is a transition period.
All these leagues should just own the rights themselves and put it out there. Like the capabilities there. This is obviously above my pay grade. I'm not a TV executive, but you would think that you'd want to own the rights instead of selling it to, like, I know the Sunday Ticket thing is so valuable. It's such a valuable property, and DirecTV pays for it.
Well, not anymore. YouTube
TV now, but I mean, like it was forever.
Yeah,
that's why I had DirecTV.
Yeah, that's why most people had it.
Yeah,
and I don't have it anymore.
No, I don't either.
It's like a YouTube TV.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still stuck with DirecTV. I got a contract for 2 more years because I had to sign
contract. Who signs contracts anymore?
I had a contract. I got locked in for 3 years. They came in. Normally I run people off, and they knocked on the door, and I was like, well, I got to get the Cavs and Guardians, so I was going to do this anyway. Come on in.
What I did last year was I had YouTube TV during football season and Fubo during baseball season. And, in September, I would have them both.
Yeah.
But this year, I actually did, for the first time in forever, I did not get Sunday Ticket because the Bengals are almost always on in Cleveland. I think I missed 2 games the whole year. And if, in those cases, I could go to a bar if I need to or whatever. But anyway, but the bottom line on this, this is a great deal for fans.
All the extra features because they're so good.
Yeah.
The in-game stuff, the live, the pitch by pitch, the in-play runs,
much better than
trust me.
Than
you degenerates know about the in-play runs.
Yeah, if you look at
getting some points,
like if you use the NFL app for their in-game box score, it stinks.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah,
throwing this out to you, I did not ask you guys to prepare for this, so if you're not ready, we can do it another day. But we mentioned the talent lineup they have, and I butchered all their names, and I do apologize for that. But if it was up to you guys, using local talent, so we're going to have some fun with this because we have a little bit of time. Create your ultimate Guardians pregame / postgame lineup with local talent. Well, you can put yourself on. I
would put myself on. I'd love to do it. Al Pawlowski does a nice job.
Yeah, and this is no disrespect to anyone who's doing it. I'm just saying, let's have some fun.
We'll just do the I mean, I think when we look at the list of people, Cody Allen's interesting. He was never much of a talker when he was.
Doesn't mean he's not going to be good at this.
He might be good. Chris Jimenez is very good.
He is.
He's done he's done some games in the past. He's become a semi-regular on MLB radio. I know there's probably not a million people that listen to MLB radio, but I'm one of the crazy people out there that listen to MLB radio. And they have a show in the afternoon called Loud Outs, which has a couple of former players. It's usually C.J. Nitkowski and our boy Ryan Spilborghs. But other guys fill in sometimes, and Chris Jimenez has been on. I've heard him a few times. He's really good. And a lot of times these players who were like fringe major leaguers, backup catchers, end up being good managers and broadcasters.
I don't know if I'm in the minority or not, but I think that our television crew is the best in baseball. Rick Manning, I think, is the best analyst in baseball. You hear him on national broadcasts, or at least have in the past, and he's so good. Andre is a pro's pro. And I'm a Matt fan. Like I know there are people out there that don't like Matt. I think it's unfair for Matt because he's in a role on TV, which people watch the game. But you've got Hamilton, who's been so good and is a legend. It's tough to be in those roles, at the same time, because Tom is so good, but it's a different way to consume it. So I don't know. I like our crew. I really wouldn't change much there. In terms of the post and pregame stuff, I think it's cool to have the rotating analysts. I mean, I'm a fan. I think Jensen's done a really nice job since he's been doing that. I'm curious to see the new faces. Jason Kipnis is interesting to me because I've heard him do some stuff. He's got a fantastic personality, and I think he'll have a chance to be a really good analyst.
He's been pretty blunt in the past. I'll be curious to see.
And that's important.
It is important.
Ben Broussard and Austin Jackson seem so out of left field. I don't know. They might be great. I don't know, but they just both seem.
I feel like Austin was doing stuff with the Tigers, but I might be making that up.
Well, he played there.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
so I feel like I feel like I've seen him.
He was a big time prospect at one point.
Oh, big time. I feel like I've seen him on Tigers broadcasts.
Yeah,
but I could totally be making that up.
Yeah, I mean,
Bull, you put yourself as play-by-play.
Oh, I was talking about as like the studio. I thought we were just
fine, studio. You'd make yourself the host.
Well, listen. Of course, I think I'm the best play-by-play man in the world.
I'd have you be an analyst.
No,
why not?
Former player. You need a player.
Although Tom Verducci's an analyst, I don't think he's all that great. But
you need a player in that role.
Players thank just you, see Dustin. Things. I appreciate that.
I don't think you have to be.
Players see things and feel things and pick up on things that we just don't.
I'd put you in that role with another former player and have a host. I think you guys would chop it up.
I appreciate that a lot, and I would. I would love to do it. I would love to be part of the broadcast.
How are you going to do that and be a Guardians beat writer for MLB? And
by the way,
and work at Barnes & Noble.
I'm done with that. After I said that yesterday, I got people sending me emails saying they'd like me to be a Guardians beat reporter. I mean, you don't want that after Jason and I had a conversation, I was like, nah, that
was one of the craziest calls I've gotten.
I called Jason at halftime of the Cavs game.
I was sitting next to him, and he goes, why the F is Bull calling me right now? And he puts up, he's never going to believe what Bull just asked me.
It was so weird.
ADHD.
I was like, I don't know. I wanted to. Listen. I was always a dream to work in baseball.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be a play-by-play guy. That's how my career started.
I can't imagine you sitting there transcribing quotes.
No. I don't know what I was thinking with that. That was a temporary insanity. But I would love to do play-by-play, but the ship has basically sailed. I don't know. I'll tell you something. I called the Lake County Captains a few years ago when I was leaving the radio station, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know if I've ever mentioned this story publicly. I called the Lake County Captains. I spoke to, I don't remember the name of the woman who's like the GM there. I can't think of her name. And I was telling her that I was interested in maybe doing some play-by-play. Now, it was probably, I guess it was a little arrogant of me to assume that she would know who I was.
You? Arrogant?
Hey, listen,
Hey, listen, you don't know who I am?
Was it unreasonable for me to think that the person running Lake County Captains would know who I was?
Yes.
Okay, so I was. It
was totally arrogant to assume that people know who you are.
No, but she works in sports. That's why. I don't think everybody knows who I am.
I understand that.
Yeah.
And I would think that they probably should know. But I could understand why you'd be like, that's weird. Like
I wasn't offended that she didn't.
A little bit you were.
No, I swear to you. I would tell you.
You sound still hurt to this day.
No.
You're getting red. You're getting sweaty.
I really wasn't offended.
Man.
I would trust me.
You want my blood pressure pills?
More than I do. I would tell you if I were offended. It wasn't that I was offended. I was surprised. But whatever. That's my arrogance. Fine. But So probably when I called and said, "Hey, I'd like to do some play-by-play," she was like, well, "Who the hell's this guy? Why would I just let him do play-by-play?"
Right.
Anyway, nothing really. I don't know what happened. I can't even remember if I didn't. I don't remember.
I'm totally like just.
And I know they don't pay anything, but I was like interested in just doing it. Well, I haven't done it in so long.
I was thinking about the Lake Erie Crushers. Call the Crushers.
Yeah, they got a new owner, I think, too.
I mean, I have no idea if they even have any, like, on the internet or anything. I mean, their games aren't on the radio, but maybe they do a live
I don't want to take anybody's job. I wasn't trying to take the Lake County Captains.
No, I know.
I wanted to do just a few games. I wanted to be like a fill-in guy.
Call the Crushers.
Yeah,
it's right down the street.
I don't know. Maybe I don't really even want to do it.
When's the last time you
sounded good.
Guardians? Or not
play-by-play?
The arena team we did, right?
Yeah.
See, you're going through what I went through a few years ago when you stopped working 18,000 hours a week. And so you just start like making shit up and like, I'm gonna
do that. Get a hobby.
I can do that. I can
My wife said I need a hobby. Sometimes I'm just bored.
Yeah.
Bro,
yeah.
I'm telling you.
I was
good.
I better not say it.
I mean, I certainly don't want to go back to doing a 5-hour radio show
Jason,
a day.
Don't get yourself in trouble here.
But who's going to get themselves in trouble? Jason?
Jason was going to say something. I think I know what he was going to say.
I played tennis for 6 hours on Monday.
See?
6 on the court.
Wow.
I played most days like 4 hours.
Yeah, it was funny. I was listening to this comedian. I don't even remember who it was, and he was making this thing about how women have girls' trips, which women, guys don't have guys' trips like women have girls' trips.
What are you talking
generally?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
I've never even heard of girls' trips.
Do you not have friends?
Only heard of guys' trips.
Okay, you're like 20, so you're irrelevant. Oh, no offense. I'm talking about adults, Mike, that are married with kids. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I just went on a guy's ski trip 2 weeks ago.
Okay, fine, but I bet you. That
guys,
there's more
golf trips.
There's more married women that go on like girls trips than guys.
Yeah, guys do golf trips, hunting, fishing, all that. But
okay, that wasn't even the point. But the point was,
there's no way there's more women that do that. There's no way.
Okay, well,
I mean, I'm disagreeing with you, but I mean,
that's
I don't have facts to back it up, which you don't either.
I don't either. I thought it was obvious, but okay, maybe I'm wrong. But I was like, yeah, but like guys go out and play golf 6 hours every. Like Jonathan Peterlin, that guy plays golf every weekend.
Good
for 6 hours.
Good for him.
Yeah, I'm saying.
You need a hobby, dude.
My point, but I don't want to play golf for 6 hours.
Well, do something you like.
Boring.
Do something you're not good at it. That's why it's boring. But do something you like, or get better at it, and then you'll enjoy it.
No, I don't want to get better at it.
Okay, then find something you enjoy,
dude. The problem is the things.
You sound miserable.
Go fishing.
No, I'm not miserable at all. The sports I like playing, I can't really play right now. I want to play basketball, but I'm in terrible shape.
Get your ass in shape, dude.
I'm trying. God damn it.
That's what I said. Fish. Go fish.
Fishing and name
That's
every
boring.
first base. No. Well, here's what we do.
Go hunting. Go sit in a tree somewhere.
Get a hobby.
Oh my God, I'm not.
Well, here's what you
Can
do.
you imagine Bull sitting in a tree?
You go fishing, and you name every first baseman that played on the NL Central team from 1973 to 2004.
Dude, I can't shoot an animal. I'm not saying I don't have a problem with people hunting, especially if they're doing it like to eat the animal they kill. I got zero problem with that. It's just not my thing. I'm not going to shoot an animal.
Yeah.
I'm not interested. My son actually asked me a hypothetical. He was like, he actually asked me if I would shoot a person in this certain scenario, believe it or not. This is my son asking me this question. He's like, would you shoot blah, 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 if you could get away with it? And I'm like, this is a crazy question. But we were discussing it, and I was like, I don't know that I could ever shoot a human. Even if I hated the person, and even if I could get away with it, I don't know that I could actually shoot a human being. You think you could shoot a human being?
I don't know. We were talking about hobbies. Now we're talking about killing people.
We'll save
hobby
that
for
Now we're talking about first-degree murder.
Yeah.
We'll save that for the second half of overtime. Guys, Jason and I did an Ultimate Cavaliers show yesterday. It's on our YouTube page. If you want to see a little DeAndre Hunter breakdown, what he did in his first game and what he may bring to the table for his second game tonight against the Raptors, check it out on our YouTube page.
By the way, no offense to the Cavaliers at this point, because I'm enjoying watching them more than I have in a very long time. I'm ready for the playoffs now.
So we all are.
Your fascination with the regular season has ended?
I'm done. I lasted longer. Like, I'm not going to lie. I got a little St. John's Villanova tonight. I'm not that interested in Cavs Toronto Raptors.
You could go third on this topic, Jason. Actually, Dustin, let's start with you, Dustin. The Cavs are 43-10. Today is the final game of the proverbial first half of the season because the All-Star break is coming up. In your opinion, what has been the most surprising part of the Cavaliers up to this point?
The bookmakers haven't caught on that they're good. I mean, they cover the spread every night, and they score a ton of points. I'm joking with the gambling talk, but I mean, like they literally are playing the most fun style of basketball that you could ask for as a fan. I mean, they every night it's up and down the court. They play really good defense. They're not lazy. They are selfless. They score a ton of points. They shoot threes. They can fast break, and they can do all kinds of things that the great teams can do. They're dominant, man. And I don't know. Proud to be a fan of the Cavs because you know what you're going to get every night. They don't let us down. They rarely let us down.
What's their record against the spread now? Do you have it?
I'll look that up. But, Jason, what to you has been the most surprising part of this 43-10 start?
I actually struggled with this because, like, the knee-jerk easy answer is Evan Mobley's emergence.
34 and 19 against the spread.
Against the spread.
Is that the best in the league? It is not.
What's the best in the league?
It's just behind Memphis. They're 35 and 18.
Oh, there you go.
It's been hard to cap.
Mobley is the easy answer here, and it probably is the right answer. But the reason I struggle with it is Mike and I sat here and took bullets all last year saying it's in there, it's in there, it's in there, it's in there. So while it's a surprise, it's kind of not because we thought it was in there all along. It just had to come out. You could say Darius, but Darius was an all-star before, and he's just sort of returning to the level that he played at previously. So it's really, I guess, for me, the best way to answer this is it is best-case scenarios for everybody coming together. And Kenny Atkinson learned a lot, I think, in his time at Golden State. I was talking to some people with the Warriors that I almost want to go out and talk to Steve Kerr about being like this coach whisperer and the way that guys come in and get on his staff and see the Warriors culture and the Warriors way and Steve's way of doing it, and they leave completely changed coaches. Mike Brown left a completely different coach when he left Golden State than when he entered. I think Kenny has changed from when he entered to when he left. So, you know, it's the best of Kenny, it's the best of Evan, it's the best of Darius, it's the best of the core four fitting together. So it really, I don't know that it's one thing that's been the biggest surprise. It's everyone meeting expectations and everyone meeting potential and exceeding expectations, all blended together into one pot. And I don't know if I'm explaining it properly or not, but it's really hard for me to point to one thing and say that's the one thing that did it, because I just think a lot of things hit. I mean, Ty Jerome really is the most surprising, if we're being honest, his emergence.
I mean, Jason, you gave a whole answer, and then you steal my answer with your afterthought.
I just talked myself.
You've got to be kidding me.
I just talked all the way around until I got.
By the way,
of course, it's Ty Jerome.
But Ty Jerome's not the reason that they are where they are.
That wasn't the question, though.
The question is just simply, what's the most surprising part of
Ty Jerome missed an entire season with
a sprained ankle.
The flu. I don't know what he had. A sprained ankle. He missed a whole season. This guy, nobody heard of this guy besides nudniks like you and Mike.
Well, now we're nudniks because we got Evan Mobley right. Now we're nudniks.
This guy, I mean, he's had a really.
You know what a nudnik is?
I have no idea. Dope.
It's a Bull exclusive.
It's not really a dope. It's just like a pain in the butt.
He's saying you're like a clown.
It's like an Italian thing, isn't it?
Whatever, right?
Not a clown. But
I feel like Alessi's family has used nudnik. Is it an Italian thing?
No, it's a Jewish thing.
Well,
but in New York, New Jersey, Jews and Italians are the same thing. That's another story for another day. But it's Ty Jerome. This guy, who knew he was even going to play?
Yeah.
This guy's their best bench player by far. And when he's had a chance to start and play significant minutes, he's played at an extremely high level. You'll see other guys who make a name for themselves coming off the bench for a few minutes, and then they get a chance to play, and they don't do anything. Every time this guy's gotten significant minutes, he's had a good game.
When he plays 20 or more minutes this season,
yeah.
So if you just looked at those games, he's averaging 19, 5, and 4.5.
It's crazy.
I mean, those are all-star caliber numbers.
It's totally crazy. I said the other day,
yeah.
His PER is basically the same as Donovan's.
Which is wild.
Donovan's making $35 million and Ty Jerome's making
PER for the fans.
But it's WAR, player efficiency rating.
So it's WAR. It's the baseball.
It's
the basketball equivalent of WAR.
Yeah.
Which most people don't understand either. So
it's basically John Hollinger, who now works for us.
Yeah.
Came up with it when he was at ESPN. Then he went to work for the Grizzlies, and now he's at the Athletic. John developed it. It's basically the totality of your play. And to this point, I mean, I still think it's the best stat out there that encompasses everything. Maybe there's something better. Maybe Mike knows it's something else.
It factors in everything: passing, defense.
Yeah,
everything. Do they have a PER per minute, or is it just a flat?
I think it takes
total
that
number
into consideration, if we're being honest. But every year, and I'm with Jason for the most part.
Yeah.
The top three guys in PER this year: Jokic, SGA, Giannis. Last year, top three guys in PER: Embiid, Jokic, Giannis, SGA, Luka, Anthony Davis, LeBron, Brunson, Halliburton, Porzingis was a top 10.
Mike went from 3 to 10 there.
VORP is another good one. I can't remember what VORP stands for.
Where is Ty Jerome?
Value over replacement. That was
this
easy
season?
enough.
Yeah. Let me find him. Hold on.
His PER is like 27-ish.
His PER this season is 31st in the NBA.
31st?
Just below Donovan Mitchell. Above. He's higher than Devin Booker and Steph Curry and Cade Cunningham. And Kyrie Irving and Halliburton and Anthony Edwards.
He's making $2.5 million.
I mean, come on.
Bull had the right answer. Bull,
yeah.
I'm glad you said it, because if you didn't, I was going to hop in.
Yeah.
Hey, I said it. It just took me a minute to get there.
You said it after a 4-minute rant that was too long to even cut into a social clip. As oh yeah, you know what? I just talked for way too long and was wrong.
Yeah.
Ty Jerome, outside of rookie contracts, is the most valuable player in basketball this season. He's making essentially league minimum, $2.56 million.
Yeah.
Playing at a 6th Man of the Year caliber. He's playing so well, the Cavs felt comfortable moving on from Caris LeVert, because part of losing Caris means more opportunities for Ty Jerome to do stuff like this. And I have patented this stat. I've made my own stat, Bull.
I like it.
It's called League Pass Moments.
Ooh.
Where a player is doing something so absurd that if I text you and just say, Ty Jerome, Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, now, it's stop what you're doing, you turn the game on.
Right.
According to my unofficial stat tracking system, which I have been keeping this system,
Ty
Jerome leads the Cavs in League Pass minutes this season with 4. His 33-point game against the Sixers He hit 6 threes in the second quarter against New Orleans. It made G. Bush almost pass out in the middle chair the day after. Mm-hmm. He had 26 against Toronto. Those are the highlights you were just seeing. He had 24 against Charlotte in the light blue city uniforms, and against Golden State, where he went on an 11-0 run by himself. Mm-hmm. If you had told me Ty Jerome would arguably be the most valuable player in basketball this season based on his contract, I would have laughed you out of the gym.
Yeah, so he's the most valuable player per dollar, not including rookie contracts.
That's not even close.
Because Wemby would be if
I would have said that to you in the beginning of the year, you would have called me an idiot.
Yeah.
Yes. I'll call you an idiot anyway, Bull. You're an idiot. But you're right in this instance.
Yeah.
It's absurd. No,
he's incredible.
He's been everything you could ask for.
Phenomenal.
And now he's got his best friend with him. Like, I think there's even more. I should be careful when I say this. Do you think there's more to Jason? Is there more to Ty Jerome than what we've seen? Or is this?
I think take what you be pretty content with what you got.
You just gave stats to the games he played 20 more minutes that are all-star level. How much better can he be?
I mean, are you? I think they should. They're going to try and re-sign him. I don't know if they're going to. They're going to try really hard to re-sign him.
Yeah.
But can you expect this out of him again next year? I don't know that you can expect it.
That's fair.
I mean, just let him keep proving us wrong.
I guess.
Yeah.
Because, I thought he turned into a pumpkin a month or two ago.
Right.
Maybe 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Well, you talked about it, Jason, with Dell. Was it you that talked about Delly? I thought it was.
Yeah.
And, he could go, if he goes somewhere else to a bad team and they pay him, whatever.
Milwaukee.
Well, it did happen. When he left, I mean, he kind of became irrelevant.
Yeah, he went.
It was irrelevant.
He became irrelevant, not being on a championship caliber team.
I get it. If you're Ty Jerome, he hasn't made a lot of money, comparatively.
And that's why
he
Delly
wants
left.
to get the money.
That's why Delly left. You got to take the money.
I don't know, man.
You got to take the money. This is his one.
Yeah,
but if you were him and the Cavs offered you, what might the Cavs offer him?
They can. I was just talking to our cap guy.
In the article, yeah.
I was just talking to our cap guy about that. The most they can offer him is 10.5, 11.5, 10.5 a year.
I thought it was about 12 with the early bird.
All right, well, let's say 12.
All right, say 12.
What do you think some team would offer him in free agency? A lot more than that?
No.
Yes. I mean, I think so. No.
But it also comes down to years. And Mike actually mentioned this to me yesterday. It was a great point. Do you really want to extend Ty past the win? We just talked about their window is the next 3 Junes. So this year and 2 more years after. All of their guys are this year and 2 more years. Do you want to go 4 years on?
Why not?
Ty Jerome?
Come on, it's goodwill.
The best, I think, and I was talking to our cap guy about this.
Yeah.
I think their best offer for him is probably 2 for 24, something like that.
So what? Somebody else is going to offer him a 4-year deal?
There are teams that can offer him more per year. I'm not saying they will, but teams that are not taxpayers that have their full mid-level exception can offer him more.
Here's just what I don't understand about players sometimes.
Now, could he go be a starter somewhere? That's what happened with Delly. Delly went to Milwaukee and became their starting point guard.
It seems like not always, but players always take every last dollar.
Because he's never had $1.
Right.
No, wait a second. Let's not get carried away. He's making $2.5 million. That's better than 99% of people.
After taxes,
I get it.
Guys, to average people, man.
You're right.
The guy's making pennies on the dollar.
You're right. In his case, you're right.
$16 million.
In his case, you're right. But when you look, all right, let's look at a different example.
He's made $16 million in his NBA career.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
According to Spotrac.
Okay.
There's no way he's made $16 million.
He had $2 million in 22. He made. He signed a 4-year. He was a first-round pick, so 4-year, $12 million.
All right. So all I'm saying is, and again, if I were a professional athlete, I might feel differently.
Yeah.
And there are very few, but some athletes that take less money. I would think if somebody's offering me $12 million a year and somebody else is offering me $14 million a year, and I love to play some that I would rather for his life, making $12 million a year or $14 million a year is a non-factor.
But
it's a non-factor. There's no difference in his life.
Is there a difference in $56 million and $24 million?
Not really.
Yes,
no.
there is. Stop it. Yes, there is.
Yeah,
Stop,
dude.
You guys,
you're
not understand.
I hear what you're saying.
What I'm saying.
I hear what you're saying.
If you make $24 million,
yep, which is really 12
versus
after taxes.
$56 million, your life is unchanged based on those two.
But if you're
I disagree.
If you're trying to,
as long as you're smart with your money,
I hear what you're saying, and
And I'm not. This is not to say every player should take less money. I'm just saying I wonder if I were in that situation and I were comfortable, and maybe Ty Jerome's not a great example. Maybe it's better with somebody that's made money like LeBron or Juan. Like if you're Juan Soto,
that's a better example,
right? Like
that's a better example.
If I'm going to make $400 million from one team and $450 with the other, but this other team, I'm happy, I love it. Like, what's the difference at that point?
Yeah,
it's so much money.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you on that
crazy
example.
that guys don't think that guys ignore stuff like that.
By the way, before we get to super chats, as we're talking about money here, Steve Becker was like, maybe we should do 3 hours of show because
and what did I respond?
For a 50% raise.
Yeah.
So you're trying to get every dollar. So don't hate on Ty Jerome trying to get every dollar.
That is completely ridiculous. I don't make life-changing money. I make a very good living. I'm not complaining, but I don't make.
Sounds like complaining.
I don't make FU money to the world.
Sounds like you're still
compared
upset
to a lot of
that
people
one lady
you do.
didn't recognize
What's
you.
that?
Compared to a lot of people.
Yes, trust me, I'm not complaining. I make a good living. I make more money than most people. I get it. I understand that. But
just pull it out and measure it right here.
If
building a new house,
we're not going to give specifics, but some before the show, you and I were specifically talking about if such and such. If you and I got offered a certain amount of money, which is more than we make, we wouldn't do it. Why? Happiness.
Right. But, I mean, is he going to be that much more unhappy doing the exact same thing just at a different city for a couple of years?
I'm more talking in general than specifically about Ty Jerome. It surprises me that the players are so obsessed with making every last dollar. It seems weird. But to be fair, if I were a player, I might feel differently.
It's a status
thing. It is a status thing. It's an ego.
That seems so stupid.
It's an ego thing.
That you'd rather have your ego stroked more than be happy.
Why do you think that these contracts are? This one is $1 million more than that one because this one is now the highest paid. Right. It happens all the time.
Yeah, I know.
All right, we got super chats to wrap up today's show. M. Bynes says neither Ward or Sanders is worth the number 2 pick.
Well, if M. Bynes
with some coaching,
that's
they
the
are
case,
better
it must
than what
be
we've
true.
had. Take Carter and take a quarterback in the second round.
That's so stupid.
All right, next one comes from our guy Halim. Anytime a team drafts a quarterback, they add veteran free agents. Texans did it with Stroud, Commanders with Daniels, Williams in Chicago, etc., etc. Paul Robinette says Browns like DTR let him sit and develop for 2 years, and he looked lost and terrible. How can anyone trust the talent evaluators or development with these guys?
He's a 5th-round pick.
Okay. It's fair to be critical overall of Andrew Berry.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But just because you've done a subpar job or made a mistake, like Jason has said that the Niners are one of the smartest organizations. They traded up for Trey Lance, a ridiculously terrible trade.
Yeah.
And yet
everybody makes mistakes.
Everybody makes them. Now, the Browns unfortunately make more than most.
Yes, they do.
And it's perfectly reasonable to not trust Andrew Berry to get it right. But even he doesn't get it wrong all the time.
And again, he was a 5th-round pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you compare DTR to what they're currently looking at. 2 more. Halim also says, is there an app for the TV to watch the Guardians on this new deal? So would it be the MLB?
I assume it's the MLB app.
I believe there is,
You can if your TV doesn't have built-in apps, if it's an older TV, you can get a Fire Stick.
Yep. Yeah, or Apple TV.
Apple TV.
That's what I did. I put MLB app on my Apple TV.
There's
but
a bunch
is it
of different
going
ways.
to be the MLB app?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have to help me understand this last one. It comes from Topo42. And I quote, really impressed with that Starbucks barista and his ideal basketball lineup building and Browns knowledge. Is he single, asking for a friend? Who do you think they're referring to as the Starbucks barista?
Oh, Jason, the Starbucks
I look like a
barista.
Starbucks barista?
Yeah, a little bit.
Thought I looked like a convict.
All black. You got that's kind of a barista hat right
like
there.
a white wrapper.
You just need to get one of those things that people put in their ears, spacers.
Oh God.
That the hipsters wear.
Yeah, no, that's not happening.
That looks so creepy. I mean, to each his own. I don't have a problem with it. But
hey,
it looks so
real
creepy.
quick, we'll do this more on the show tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because Dustin, you're back tomorrow and Tyvis is here, but Matt Patricia, officially the new DC at Ohio State.
At Ohio State.
Are you a fan?
You like it?
No idea. No idea.
The guy was like the worst head coach ever, but it doesn't
That doesn't mean anything.
I mean, it doesn't mean crap. Like
Hugh Jackson thinks he's a bad head
He
coach.
wasn't a very good offensive coordinator either. Maybe.
Yeah, he shouldn't have been an offensive coordinator.
I don't know enough about Matt Patricia to say that it's a great hire. I didn't know anything about Jim Knowles when they hired him. Yeah. I mean, he was a good good DC at OK State, but like, how hard is it to get the best players in the country lined up? I mean, just get them on the same page, get them in a good scheme, and let's go. Like, it's. I think Ohio State.
You don't really care that much.
No, I care. I shouldn't say that I don't care. I care about culture, and I want those guys to play hard. That's what I care about.
Yeah.
Can you get the guys lined up? Can you get them on the same page? And can you get them to play with effort and intensity? If you can do that, which I think he can, then we'll be fine.
All right. I mean, he did well when he was a defensive coach in New England.
Yes.
Wasn't a head coach, and he should never been the OC because he was a defensive coach. All right. Coming up on overtime, we'll talk about
the Dwight Howard comments from Brian.
Oh, God,
Smith, and if Bull's going to shoot somebody, who might he shoot?